Hey, Ken, I made you the co-host.
Sounds good, thanks.
All right, good evening. I have 7 o'clock. I'd like to open the December 6th meeting of Wakefield Conservation Commission. First, up, we'll take attendance. Jim,
Here.
Ken, Ken,
Here.
Peter,
Here.
Teresa. Oh, Teresa, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry.
Thanks. Paul, are you there? I don't think so. No, I don't see Paul. All right, first up is the approval of the minutes from November 15th. Any comments or questions? Or
I had sent Judy a couple little comments, but she said she made, so. I moved to approve the minutes as amended.
Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor of approving those minutes from November 15th? Jim,
What?
are you in favor of approving the minutes from November 15th?
I must have missed something.
There was a motion to approve the minutes in a second.
Yeah, I thought there was a second, so,
It was, now I'm polling the commissioners individually.
oh, okay, yes, yes.
Okay. Ken,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes,
and I also vote yes. All right, first up is DEP 313615. This is 9 to 11 Audubon Road, a request for a minor modification. Is the applicant here?
Hi, how are you?
Hey, good evening, Doug.
So during the course of our work, a couple of things have come up. One, in literally the direct path of the electrical duct bank for the new electrical service, running almost perpendicular, but the duct bank runs in an angle about 45 degrees. And coming from the rear of building 9, there was a pipe, 8.5-inch pipe that came out of the bottom of the building about 4 feet down. That's the stormwater roof drain pipe that leads out towards the river. And it pretty much traveled, I would say, about 90% of the way to the river bank. However, it was evidently dead-ended. The end of the pipe was sort of cut on a 45-degree angle, and there's actually a hole in the ground where the water would actually eventually bubble up, over time, forced its way up to the surface. It never made it out to the riverbank like the other pipes in building 7, which were addressed on Hayes Engineering's plan and will be addressing further through the project. So we brought Hayes Engineering on site, showed them the pipe. We had the pipe removed. And we brought that pipe, I would say, 70% back towards the building. And we installed a dry well per the specifications on the drawing that was provided by Hayes. That was to capture the water, prevent it from doing what it was currently doing, which is basically just spilling out into the lawn and eventually into the river. And then secondly, it got the pipe away from the duct bank that was being installed, and would be containing the power from Wakefield Municipal for the new transformer. So that was the first piece. And the second piece is not really an unforeseen condition, but rather a request. If you recall the site, and I could certainly call it the plan if you'd like, there's a small area of concrete. So from the back of Building 9 and Building 7, there's a couple of terraces of concrete. There are some picnic tables up on the highest level. And there's a series of steps that come down to a lower concrete
So
pad.
can I just interrupt you, Doug? It would be
Sure.
helpful to see that plan, if you can show us that plan. It's hard to visualize without the plan.
All
Thank
right. Let's see if I can pull it up a bit.
Thank you.
Sure. So the first, let me just get my bearings here. So the first issue was there was this pipe that traveled from 9, and you can see he has it in an angle, but it actually is rather more of a straight line coming off the back of the building. But there was this transite pipe that left the building, went all the way, like I said, just about to the edge of the riverbank, and it was in direct line of the new duct bank. And again, this was just sort of dead-ended. Over time, the water coming down from the roof created a hole, and it would just bubble up when it got either too much volume for it to handle, and then spill out into the riverbank. So we pulled this pipe back 100% back to within about 4 feet of the building. We dug a dry well in this area here and extended new pipe. So there was a pipe that's approximately about halfway sticking out of the building, about 4 feet. We left that pipe in place, connected up a couple of new pieces of pipe to the new catch basin dry well. And that's basically up close to the building. So we took everything that was heading down towards the water and spilling into the water, pulled it all the way back as much as we could to the building, and then put in the new dry well, which will capture the water coming off of the Building 9 roof. Very similar to what we had proposed, and you guys have accepted over here. We just didn't know about this pipe until we started excavating. And then the second area item that I was talking to you about is that this area hatched, and this actually the area to the left of it that he did not hatch. So there's a set of concrete steps here, and we're proposing taking out this sort of U-shaped concrete, which is level to the grade, removing that piece, and instead putting back grass, lawn. And in place, we'd like to not excavate this whole area at the building. So there's a concrete retaining wall here that exists. We're proposing to leave that in place, not disturb all the earth along the building at the loading dock area, because in order to remove the wall and the earth, we would have to then excavate further down below the building to underpin it. Essentially, the width of this area shown probably extend about 4 to 6 feet beyond on the south side of this, just to make sure we have ample coverage. And that would allow us to basically expose the foundation down to the footing and allow the trucks to back up. We thought it would be better. Obviously, it's a cost savings to us, which is great, but we think that it helps overall because we don't have to disturb the soil at all. We can simply install a concrete pad just in front of the loading dock door that would allow them to back the truck up to the existing retaining wall and then roll the equipment right into the new loading dock door. and none of these soils would have to be disturbed. We won't have to dig underneath the existing foundation of the building. So what we're proposing is simply taking out a larger section of concrete that exists, putting back grass, and then adding a piece of concrete here at the building where it doesn't exist on top of the wall, as sort of an exchange. And those are the only two items that we're asking for your consideration on. One we had to do, so the transite pipe, removing that and putting in the dry well, we had to do that because we ended up with a condition where we would, if there was significant storm, would end up flooding the whole area because the pipe was exposed and dead ended.
So Dougie, I guess I don't understand. So you're down at the footing level of the building?
So what was originally designed to propose is that we were going to remove this retaining wall, cut it back,
Yeah,
and then excavate to the building
okay,
in order to be able to back the truck up directly to the building itself.
okay,
And what we've learned now is that the foundation and the footing
yeah,
is essentially down at the grade that we would need to be. So we would be exposing the building, it would be open and subject to frost.
yep.
In order to maintain its integrity, we would have to then excavate down 4 feet below
Okay, I
the
get
finished
it.
grade
Yeah,
to
right.
put a frost wall in there.
Yeah.
And the alternative, the structural engineer had offered to us, is to leave the retaining wall, leave this earth up against the existing foundation, providing the frost, and then just capping that wall between the wall and the building with a loading dock pad, if you will. So that would
Okay.
be additional concrete in this area, but
Yeah.
taking out more than what we're putting back in this existing area down here.
Okay,
Refresh my memory, is that a street level dock or is that an elevated dock?
So it would be street level. So you'd essentially the original proposal is that you would back directly up to the building. There'd be an opening roughly 4 feet above the proposed turf stone driveway, so that they could then just roll equal off the truck into the loading dock area inside the building.
Okay,
And we're not proposing to, the only proposal here is to add this piece of concrete. We're not adding any structure, or any awnings or anything to cover it. It would just simply be a means of getting out of the truck and into the loading dock without having to excavate that whole area and putting in an underpinning frost wall.
so no dock enclosure or dock seal around the perimeter of the opening?
On the building, we'll probably have a set of bumpers,
Yeah.
obviously, so it doesn't damage the structure, and we'll probably put sort of an inverse U shape of the padding to
Right,
give them some protection in the wintertime.
okay,
But actually, in this case, we wouldn't do that. We would just have bumpers on the existing retaining wall,
yeah,
and we would eliminate any need for that padding on the building itself, because the truck will never come in contact with it. Inside the overhead door, we'll just have plastic. So if the door is open in the wintertime, the plastic will help prevent the cold air from getting in.
so if I got this right, your trucks were gonna drive down the roadway that you're making and then go up to where the bollards are? And then
That's
back
correct.
into, and then back into the loading
Yep.
dock, and then they drive out?
Correct.
Yeah, it sounds fine to me.
any issue with the soils underneath the new leaching catch basin?
No, actually, yeah, we're very happy with the quality of soil. In every location that we've been digging so far has been excellent. As soon as we finish, we're expecting the transformer pad to be delivered this week. And once that's in place, we'll then start work on the excavation for the turf stone drive. And once we get down to the base where we're going to start building up, we'll then call in the town engineer and have him examine and inspect the entire area that's proposed for turf stone.
Mhm.
But we think that he'll be very happy with the material that's there.
Mhm.
Any other questions from the commission?
I have one question. Doug, on the map here, on the plan, I see this, it says abandoned in place. It's showing a pipe down to your right. Keep going to your right. Keep going, keep going, keep going.
Oh, this
Yeah.
one. Yep.
Is that in there? Are you saying that that's in place, but it's abandoned?
Yeah, so what we know is that for building 7, so the roof drains on building 7, they're connected to these 2 pipes. So there's one here
Yeah,
and then one here. Those actually, you can see those pipes. They poke out maybe about 18 inches out of the side of the riverbank, and you can see them exiting the bank, and they directly take roof water off the building and dump it into the river.
Yeah.
So this was an existing condition. So what I believe Anthony's proposal was is to leave the pipe in place so that we're not excavating through this
Yeah.
riverbank to get rid of it, but obviously we'll terminate it here once we put in the storm chamber,
okay,
storm water chambers.
okay. So I haven't seen this yet, so is it pretty much all dug up?
Um,
I mean,
No,
I was wondering if I could take a look at it.
Certainly.
See what's going on?
Yeah, right now, a lot of this area is existing there. A lot of the grass is scraped up in this area. Right now, it looks similar to what it did before because we haven't done any of the turf stone excavation. We did do the excavation for the duck bank. They did put in the pole. We did install the duck bank. Everything was inspected and it was backfilled. And so right now we're up in this area. We made the
Yeah.
connection to the building, and now we did all the excavation and prep work. We're just waiting for the containment pad,
Yeah,
which is a 12,000 pound concrete containment area. That's being delivered on Thursday. And then I
Mhm.
think it's either Monday or Tuesday, the actual transformer pad will be delivered once we put in all of the containment pieces.
okay. Did they end up putting wooden telephone poles in? Or,
They did. They put one pole down around this area. I can't remember
Yeah.
where exactly. Yeah, there's one new pole in this area.
okay,
And then they changed the pole back out here on the parking lot area, but that was just a 1-for-1 swap. The pole, I guess, was
yeah,
rotted or something.
okay.
Any other questions from the commission? Rebecca, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I don't. I thought it met the requirements for a minor modification.
Agreed. Any questions or comments from the public?
Jim, I'd certainly offer it if obviously you want to come out anytime, but if you are interested in the subsoils before we start to build up the driveway, when I
Yeah.
notify the engineer, I can also notify Rebecca and that we're
Yeah,
calling
that-
for an inspection, so you guys can come see the base.
That'd be great. I like that. Yeah.
Sure.
All right, would somebody like to make a motion to determine that this is a minor modification?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second,
Any discussion? All right, no discussion, and polling the commission. Teresa,
yes.
Peter,
His microphone's off.
You're on
yeah,
mute, yeah, you're on mute, Peter.
There he
Yes,
goes.
sorry about that. Yep.
Paul,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes,
and I also vote yes. All right,
Thank you very much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. And we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Next up is DEP 313322, Millbrook Lane condos, status update. Is the applicant here?
Yes, I am.
Oh.
Attorney Ryan Severance on behalf of the board.
Hello, Ryan.
Hello. So I can provide a status update. The board has been speaking with Mr. Cresta, the neighbor, and is trying to make sure that it is addressing some of his concerns. They are working with their landscaper right now to do further vegetation removal that Peter Ogren from Hayes Engineering has suggested. That will involve excavating the bottom of the drainage basin that is there next to Mr. Cresta's property and installing a crushed stone bottom of that drainage basin. It will also involve, we believe we have not contracted yet, but we're working with the landscaper. The board is also going to cut down any vegetation that has grown onto Mr. Cresta's property to take care of that. That was a concern of Mr. Cresta, I know expressed to the board at some point. In the meantime, Peter Ogren has continued to work on as-built plans for the drainage basins.
And I'm on Concom.
Yeah.
Fine, I'm on Concom though. I'm mute on Concom. No earbuds.
We're stuck.
No, hang on. I went to mute Peter and
Muted everyone.
yeah, no, I got Ryan. Ryan's clear now.
That's okay. I've successfully clicked the button. So that is the current status at this time. We wanted to make sure that given Mr. Cresta's complaints, his health, the situation that exists with him, that we were addressing the issues that he has, and has, I know, spoken with the Concom about. And so we expect that those will be taken care of pretty soon. There may be some delay due to weather. We can't,
Ryan, can you put together a timetable for this,
for which portion of it, Jim?
for the whole thing, for the as-built and for whatever modifications he's making?
The modifications that we're making in terms of the what sort of boils down to, I guess I'll call landscaping. I mean, I think those can be completed within about, the next 4 weeks, as long as we don't end up with a situation where there's a lot of snow. That obviously will complicate things.
But I think if you could put something in writing for us, we could have it as our starting point here. This
Sure.
has been going on for quite a while.
Yes. Well, there's been a number of things that have led to that, but certainly, yes, absolutely. I'd be happy to put it in writing and send that along so that you have it.
Thank you.
I have a quick question, if you have a sec. Is the as-built, because from what I understand, there were survey crews out there to collect information for the as-built plan a little while ago. And now we're talking about excavating the bottom of the basin and adding crushed stone. The as-built plan that you submit, is that going to be from the information that was collected a few weeks ago? Or is that going to be with the new elevation at the bottom of the basin based on the excavation and crushed stone that you just mentioned?
It will depend. I spoke with Peter. I spoke with Peter Ogren about this today. Our intention is to have that reflect the crushed stone. If the crushed stone has not been installed by the time that the as-built plan is submitted, then that's probably, it won't be reflected because we're going to give you an as-built plan. Peter has suggested this crushed stone as a way of managing this vegetation that has gotten out of control. So this is to some degree an upgrade on what would, you know, what would have been there as an as-built, so to speak. And it's to directly address Mr. Crest's concerns and the concerns that I heard from you, Rebecca, as to the vegetation, so that will not be a problem again. And Peter suggests that it may also help the drainage basin work even better than it already does, which seems to be just fine, by the way.
Yeah,
Mr. Cresta has indicated to you, I know, that there have been flooding events. He has spoken to Peter, and it appears that there may actually not have been any flooding events, or only small ones, and only 2 over the course of a long period of time. So we're not really too clear on that.
mhm.
The condominium board has absolutely no record of flooding events.
When you say flooding events, are you talking flooding in the basin, or are you saying the
Flooding,
ground is
flooding
flooded?
of the basin. Flooding of the basin is what I'm
Okay.
talking about.
And does it flood it to its maximum, or has it always been contained, even though it was flooding?
It's always been contained, is my understanding.
Okay.
I have another quick question, if you don't mind. When I was out there, I saw that small little pipe that went from the parking lot wall, the wall that surrounded the parking area of the condo. And that looked like there was a pipe towards the bottom of the pavement that went through the wall that would then go into Mr. Cresta's property. Do you know if anyone has looked into that? It would seem to me, my guess would be that if the parking lot flooded, it would go through that pipe and then it would go into his property. I can't really see any other use for it. Do you know if anyone has looked into that, what that purpose is, and whether or not they'll be addressing that?
I have spoken with Peter about it. It is at this moment an unresolved issue, but I will double check with him about it. One thing I can tell you is, Rebecca, as I know you were on site right around when you were, there was a berm that unfortunately a careless snow contractor had knocked out from just above where the drainage basin is that is next to Mr. Cresta's property. And that berm, when Peter and I were there on the property looking at it, that berm was of some concern to Peter, just in terms of its exact purpose is to manage the water flow into that drainage basin. That berm has since been replaced. As soon as the condominium understood that that berm was important, they already had plans to replace it, but they replaced it even faster with the cooperation of their landscaper who had knocked it out in the first place.
Not that it matters, but are you using Earthworks as the landscaper? Because those are the ones I saw in there at the beginning of this.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I believe the landscapers or Earthworks. Yes, I believe that has not changed. What I will do in terms of a status update, as you requested, Jim, I will put together just a timeline of when we expect things to occur, and I
Yeah.
will send that over to Rebecca so that it is in writing and
Good, thank you.
I don't know what happened there. I'm sorry about that, but I will put that together, and I will put that together so everyone has the timeline that we expect.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions regarding Millbrook? All right, if not, then thank you, Ryan,
Absolutely.
and we'll be in touch.
Take care.
Thank
I will
you.
be as well. Thank you.
All right. We've got about a minute before the next topic.
Bob, you could maybe have ready the most recent plan that I think I sent to you this afternoon. I can look to see what time. I think I sent it to you at 12:59.
Okay, got it. All right, so I do have 7:30 now. Next up is DEP 313120, 2 Angem Lane. We have to vote on a mitigation plan and issue an enforcement order. Is the applicant here?
I'm here, but Tim is on the way.
Okay.
I just sent him a message. He said he will be right here.
Okay, meanwhile, I'll share the plan that Rebecca referenced.
Bob, this is Haley. May I ask a quick question on this?
Sure, Haley.
So this picture, we have the pink where someone hand wrote shed, and then up above that, prop shed, I assume proposed. Which is there two proposed locations? Is that what this is?
The proposed shed is the previously proposed location, whereas the pink one is what I intended to propose.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
No problem. Yeah, so basically, the proposed shed location doesn't have too much topsoil over there. It's just tree roots. Anything we do over there is going to damage the trees and bring them up more problems. That's why I'm proposing the pink shed location right here. And the other thing I proposed is the pink line. That is to try to keep the wetland area as far away as possible from the house, since it's such a tight design.
And what's gonna be at that pink line?
What do you mean?
You said you want to keep it away from the house as much as possible. So what is that? Is that line gonna be a fence? I'm confused as to what that line is.
That's gonna be the new BBW line, I guess.
Okay,
Yeah.
So the originally proposed was the yellow, and now you're proposing the pink.
That's right.
the
That's
yellow.
right. I mean, the yellow line is just, I mean, you can see how we are maintaining the same area. Essentially, we are swapping.
Yep. No, I'm just trying to understand what
Yeah.
the lines are.
Yeah.
Bob, do you have the Libby's plan handy? Was this her original plan that we're looking at?
This is the plan that she proposed.
Okay, thank you.
And
With
I hand draw
added.
some, yeah.
Thank you.
So
Okay.
Henry, the dash line in the orange, is that the location of the shed right now?
That's right.
Okay, well, doesn't the pond come down further then?
It's gonna have to if we remove the soil, right?
Is Libby gonna come to this? Do you know?
She should be.
John Ogren is here.
Oh, John Ogan's here? Yeah, but John hasn't been doing the stuff on this.
No, I know, maybe he knows where Libby is.
Oh,
No, I do not. I don't know where Libby is, and I'm not familiar with this project.
Thank you, John.
Ken, do you have the last proposal handy?
I do not, but I'll look for it.
All right, otherwise I could go look for it too.
Which one are you looking for, Bob?
The one that was presented last time.
Okay, hold on.
Option one.
I found it. Is Rebecca, is this the?
That's the plan that was created by Katie downstairs. Were you looking for Libby's plan? She had the
Yeah.
option 1 and option 2, which I think is what the most recent plan that you just received is based off of with the, let me look under Libby's email. Hold on.
Yeah, I mean, that's based on the most recent email Libby sent out, and I just did some drawing on top of it.
Okay. Is Tim still going to join us?
Yes, Tim is coming. He's in a zoning hearing right now, and they are finishing up.
Do we have something else that we can do instead of sitting here?
It would have to be other business.
So basically, one of the concerns we had is the shed location. If the shed location is in compliance with the frontage requirements. But there is also ambiguity regarding, where that how we gonna measure that distance, because Holland Road and Angem Lane, has some ambiguity as far as ownership.
Have you confirmed that you've got the necessary setback to put the shed in that location?
It's gonna be very tight. We're probably gonna have to remove some of the plantings over there, but it should fit.
You talking about the shed?
Yeah.
I think you need a
Basically
7
right up to the fence area.
I think you need a 7-foot setback off the property line, don't you?
30 in this case.
Oh, yeah, because it's special zone, it's a special residential.
That's right.
So then if it's 30 feet, that other proposed spot up where it's in the pale orange, that wouldn't even be 30 feet. Up in the top center of that square that they marked, that one there, that wouldn't even, Because basically we're putting it at the same spot except closer to the house.
Right.
Yeah, that's
which
right.
would- Which would work. I mean, and if need be, where the only difference is the other, the orange colored one has the fence behind it. But if this pink area was moved closer to the existing fence where the gate is out to the yard, and they put that fence behind the shed, the shed would be enclosed inside of the backyard.
I'm not sure who that was that was just speaking.
I'm not
Steve,
either.
That was Steve, the previous owner.
Oh. All right, yeah, please, if you are gonna add in, identify yourself.
okay.
I don't think the commission would have an issue with the shed in that location.
The other thing we want to discuss is a potential. Tim mentioned there is some kind of a replication fund we can donate to. So that's another option that we are willing to take, because that will minimize the disruption to the current landscape. Because by the time we need to relocate the shed and remove the topsoil in the area, that's when all the ducks are coming back and stuff. Here is Tim, so I will stop talking and let him represent.
Good evening. I apologize. I was just wrapping something up in Linfield. So I don't know how far Henry took you in this program so far, but we kind of played around with what Libby had proposed previously. And really right here is the exit area for the rear of the dwelling. So Mr. Q would like to, if possible, open up the backside of the yard closest to the houses to the greatest extent possible. And he came up with this potential scenario, which would narrow the replication area in the back, towards the front, and then open it up in the rear. So that's, what he would ask the board to consider. Again, it would just kind of make the area a little bit more usable for him, and it would push the wetland further off the rear of, the rear exit area of his home. It sounded like he was talking to you a little bit about the shed. The shed's proved to be a little bit problematic because of frontage on both Holland Ave as well as Angem. So we're subject to it basically all the way around here, a 30-foot setback per the zoning code, unless we seek to get a variance for zoning relief to put the shed closer to Holland. And even this proposed spot from Libby, I think, would be subject to the same condition of getting some kind of zoning relief in order to put it there. So, that's where we are. We try to come up with alternate scenarios. I think we came to the conclusion that Libby's proposal was probably the best, and so we tried to work within the four corners of her proposal. And this is what Mr. Q would like to propose to the board to consider. I think it honors the board's request for replication and restoration. And it is a tweak that would maybe make the yard a little bit more desirable for the Qs and their family, and again, push this wetland edge and replication area off a little bit further from the house and off the end of the driveway.
So I'm confused as to what Libby had proposed and what you're now proposing, So can you just spell that out?
Sure. So basically what we're dealing with is this replication area here that's kind of a little bit of an indent. So Libby was proposing replication all in this area. And
that bell curve, I'm sorry.
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
Yep. And what we're proposing is taking this corner right here and flip-flopping it. So keeping this area untouched for our use, and then moving it down into this corner, which is closer to the wetland area, closer to the stone wall. And again, it would free up movement up in this area as opposed to being kind of condensed, almost ready, not almost against the house, but much closer to the house than the current, than what we're proposing.
The replication area, I'm sorry to interrupt you, is to the right of the pinkish purple line.
That's correct. Yep.
And
With basically the bell curve is all replication area.
So there's a little bit less replication than what Libby had presented. Is that right? This little area?
There's a little bit less, but we would propose moving it down here. We
Down.
would,
Can we go
consider-
through where the edge of this pond is? And I'm getting confused here.
Yeah, me too.
Is the red line the edge of the pond where it is now, where the wall is?
correct.
Okay, and the green line, of course, is the line from long ago.
Yep.
Now your yellow line, what do you want to do with the yellow line?
That's Libby's yellow line. That's her proposed edge of wetland.
Okay,
So instead of having this straight line coming across, the applicant is proposing the purple.
And everything to the
line
right of the purple is gonna be restoration.
and replication.
And
And
replication.
Sorry,
Yeah.
restoration and replication to the
Yeah.
right of the pinkish line.
Correct.
Okay,
Which is what Libby had proposed off to the right of the yellow line.
right.
So the only difference here is, I guess, this little triangle in here.
okay,
That's
but
right.
Bob, so Bob, what is the area that goes between the green and the red line? What is that area?
This in here,
Yeah,
Libby had proposed restoration.
Right, and they're not changing that.
And right, and then replication in the bell curve area. So the only difference it looks
So-
like is what's happening.
right,
Nothing's happening in this very small triangle here.
okay.
That
In the bigger one, the bigger triangle. So we are, yeah, that's right. The
Yeah.
bigger triangle. We are swapping the top triangle and the bottom
Yep.
triangle. Bob is circling.
And
So
is
the
is
two
the
are
top
of the same
triangle
area.
gon- is the top triangle gonna be replication or restoration?
Restoration.
So you're doing less replication.
Same.
Appears so.
more restoration.
More restoration and a
Less
smaller
replication.
replication.
Yeah,
Okay,
It's
So
a
that-
minimus amount. It looks
Yeah,
like
I mean,
restoration.
the idea is just to push the BBW line as far away as possible from the house. I don't want the kids running into the wetland. So that's my concern. Like the original yellow line is just too close to the driveway. Think about the kid getting out from the car. That's right next to the BBW line.
so
Right.
would you consider them putting the shed right at the end of the driveway?
No, that's gonna block my way entering to the back of the building,
Okay,
right? That's gonna block my whole driveway.
Yeah, it looks like the shed is probably gonna need zoning relief. There's really just not, the site's just not that great to accommodate, it was in the spot that
Based on my
in an
measurement,
ideal
I think it was
situation, it would have gone, but you just can't go there now.
Yeah,
So
and
we'll-
based on my measurement, it was actually okay. I got 30 feet from to the line to the how should I put it, to the right edge of Holland Road. I don't understand. We didn't communicate this earlier, Tim. I don't understand why there is we need a zoning relief from this.
Because you need to be 30 feet off Holland Road.
I think there should be space.
According to Libby, there wasn't. But we can take a look at it and we'll
Yeah.
depending on how the board votes, I mean, we are prepared to take the shed out of the restoration area as Libby has shown. Where we ultimately end up putting that shed is just going to be subject to us doing either seeking some zoning relief or doing some something creative with the rest of the area, because you can see, based on where the wetland is, we can't really push too much further this way. I mean, we have a little bit, or we have this spot, and I believe both of those are going to require zoning relief, but for the purposes of this meeting, we are prepared to pull that shed out, and where we relocate it may or may not be subject to zoning relief. We just don't know yet, but we will take it out.
And do you have a plan for what the restoration and replication is going to be?
I think Libby had that concept, and she was going to kind of guide us through that concept, because it's going to require some replanting, some fill removal as well. So
Yeah,
it's
we
going to be,
need to know that.
yeah.
And the
So if the
issue is,
board, if the board's inclined to have us continue to explore or approve this proposal, then I think Libby would wrap it up, but I think she was hesitant to do a full-blown final plan without you folks seeing this first.
All right, so what are the thoughts on this proposal? Is there anybody opposed to this change or have any other ideas?
so I just have a question. I'm sorry, Bob. So once we, if we do sign off on it, once we do, what's the timeline for getting Libby showing us the new plan, the description of what the restoration will be, what the replication will be, and then when this work will be done? Because this has been hanging around for a while.
Sure. So I can't speak for Libby. I wouldn't want to speak for Libby. I would say based on
If only she were here tonight.
yeah, but I would say perhaps, obviously no planting, because we're going to be heading into the winter season and frost. Perhaps they could begin the removal of the fill, whatever what Libby requires. But I would say the balance of the work can only be completed in the springtime. We would plan on we would get the shed out before they started removing any kind of fill. So without talking to her, I would say to you, the board could expect that the shed would be removed and perhaps fill would start to be removed during the winter months, with a final completion of restoration and replication in the springtime as weather allows. So I think you're looking at springtime before it's all, buttoned up and completed. But that's, that's the weather, primary motivating factor there is just weather conditions, and trying to plant in the, obviously in the winter doesn't work. But I think we could get a pretty good chunk of it going.
I think I'm good with it. But what would be done to in terms of clearly marking the wetland line so that there wouldn't be encroachment? I mean, what is this? What is the? So take it, everything to the other side of the green line is going to be meant to be undisturbed going forward. Is that right?
If I'm looking at the house to the left of the green line or to the right?
Everything in back of the green line. From the green line to the back of the lot. Back of the lot.
So between the green line and the red line?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's intended to kind of be reclaimed to become wetland, right?
Well, no.
No.
I'm sorry.
So the red line is your,
Existing.
I'm sorry.
that's the
Only to the
existing
right of the
wall.
pink line is that.
yeah,
the sheet?
so. see
Oh,
where
only
I'm
to the right of the
circling?
pink line. Okay, I'm sorry. But
Yeah.
so my point being, so that I see what you're saying. So but that area then, that area where there's how is that going to be marked with shrubs
Right,
or
That
something,
was my question.
something clear?
What's going
Yeah.
to be at that pink line? Is there going to be a fence? Is there going to be something that says,
Yeah.
don't go
We
there?
just don't want,
Yeah.
5 years
Sure.
gone by and
Yeah.
there's no change really
Right.
to the use of the property.
So I know, and I don't want to, I don't know what Rebecca may not have. I know in some communities, actually, their conservation commission has like wooden signs on posts that
We have those.
they require the homeowner to stake out the land. It says, you know, a non-disturb zone or a non-cut zone or something to that effect.
It's gonna be, it needs to be more than just signs.
Yeah, maybe stone.
Posted rail
bounds.
fence, a posted rail fence or something like that.
Yeah,
Something-
granite
Yeah, post and
bounds
rail
with
fence,
stone.
I've seen that, rock wall.
Yeah,
Yeah, we could do something to demarcate without a doubt. I mean, that's
I mean, previously Steve
something.
used the stone wall, and it has been able to maintain the pond and the wetland for 30 years. So I don't see why that wouldn't be an option now.
A stone
Yeah,
wall with
still-
a pink line.
Stay wall would be just perfect. That
Yeah.
would be No
Yeah.
issues whatsoever.
Yeah.
We just want to make sure that there's, that we just want to make sure
Of
that
course, yeah.
if you don't mark it, things happen and not
Mm.
intentionally, but they do.
Sure, yeah.
And I do want some flood, prevention, mechanism there too, because this is bringing water closer to the house.
Well, yeah, it's wetlands.
What?
That's
What
what
did you say,
happens.
Henry?
I said I like the idea to have a stone wall there, because right now, by restoring or replicating wetland in the proposed area, we are bringing the pond closer to the house.
Well, you're storing area that was
I
filled,
don't think so.
is what you're doing, right?
You're bringing the surface water closer to the house, not the groundwater. Groundwater is where it is.
Yeah, surface water. Yep.
So we can certainly ask her to incorporate a stone wall if that's the board's wish. And if
I
Henry,
would
that's
also-
something you want to do, but I think it's appropriate. We have to mark it without a doubt. I mean, nobody wants to go through this again. And shame on all of us if we don't mark it out to prevent it from
Exactly.
happening.
Let's do a better job this time so that this don't be another problem after 30 years later again.
And I guess I would suggest that we keep you on the schedule so that you come back, so we have the plan, we have some progress. Otherwise, I'm afraid if we don't have you back each time to report on the progress, this will continue to linger as it's lingered for the, since the summer, I think.
Yeah,
well, if
I don't-
if the commission is, in agreement that this is a good alternative, then the applicant can work with Hayes and Libby and get a new plan to present to us.
Just so I get this straight. So between the green line and the red line to the upper left of your screen, that's nothing is going to happen in that area is what you're
Right.
saying. You're going to leave
That's
it just
correct.
like it is.
Correct.
So all the activity will be from the pink line to the red.
Mhm.
It's a trapezoid.
Why can't you go to the other line that Libby drew? How much closer is that going to put you to the house?
This area,
No, just down right in that intersection where all the yellow, the
Yeah,
green.
right, right. Why make that change?
Because I want to make sure the driveway, somebody get off from the car, don't get into the wetland. Or, look at
get out of
that
the
car.
path
Look
into
at that
the
car
wetland.
location. Right? If you are on the passenger side, you get off from that black car,
Yeah,
the stone wall will be right in
but
front of
there's no asphalt there. You're not going to bring a car into the lawn.
you. Well,
I'm hesitating because you're reducing, even though it's only 1,049 square feet. I think, I don't want to make it any less than that. Because I think you've already gotten a big break on the restoration area.
well, we never come up with an estimation with the
Well, but you
with a
can see
confidence
just by looking
interval
at the
around it,
drawing,
right?
see by looking at the drawing that this could
Doesn't
be
the
a-
area even out with that new?
Can we ask Libby to expand whatever we lost the replication area over here, expand it either along the bell curve or expand it this way? That way, I mean, our intent is not
Yeah,
to,
I don't
we're
think. we
not trying to
should-
kill any replication area.
Right.
We'll certainly do that. It's just, this seemed like a little bit of a more natural fit for how the house is, where the house is located.
Jim, yeah,
So we
just
could
move it- just
certainly,
moving it.
whatever we lost here, we can move it somewhere else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Well,
But
this
that-
area, this small triangle here would be restoration or replication?
The
That would be
replication-
restoration.
Oh, restoration, right.
All right,
Yeah.
so this, okay,
So the net restoration plus replication would be the same.
right.
But
Right.
there'd be less
Yes.
replication.
The net
Right, yeah, yeah,
restoration and replication,
Restoration plus replication would be the same, but there would be less replication.
but it'd be the Correct. same amount of,
Because it'd be more
Wetlands.
restoration.
right, but it'd be the same amount of wetlands
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
in
yeah,
place.
Yep.
yeah.
Does that make
Okay.
sense, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, as long as we can make those numbers, we end up with 1,050 square feet of restoration. When we're done, I think that would be sufficient. Just move that line.
1,050 square feet of restoration plus
Plus, yeah, plus the other the
replication.
replication, right? Yeah, we're not
So
forgetting that.
net,
That may
about
push that.
1,070 square feet, about 1,270 square feet in total.
Yeah, okay.
And whether it's replication or restoration, it's gonna be wetland.
Right,
Right,
right.
right.
It's
As long
a,
as the numbers come out even.
it's the same area as what Libby had proposed.
Jim, where do you
Mhm.
get 1,500? Because it's, again,
I said 1,050 for restoration.
okay, and then,
And then you
49.
gotta add the 218 for replication,
right, gotcha. I'm sorry. Gotcha.
but it's not 218, it's gonna be a little bit less than 218.
So up
Right.
the restoration.
But the
Up to
restoration area
restoration.
will increase. Right, Libby has to get us the numbers.
And the total wetlands will be the same. Total new restored /
Restored
replicated
wetlands, right.
Right.
Correct.
So just so when I'm clear, when we speak with Libby again, do you want us to maintain the 218 square feet of replication?
I think we want to have
Because
I
you'll
the
think if we're-
same net restoration plus replication.
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
okay,
Yes.
okay.
So that means we just move that pink line a little bit
To make it an even
pretty
swap.
close.
on
right now.
on one end or the other
Yep. Okay,
to make that work.
Well, wait a minute, why are you saying that, Jim?
Yeah, why are you saying it's right?
Come up with
It's
the
a,
right
it's a
number.
net zero right now. This area, which wasn't gonna be touched before,
That's restoration area.
It will now be touched.
right,
Yeah, but you might have to touch a little bit more, won't you?
Okay, Libby can do the actual calc to make sure it's even.
it's, I mean, eyeballing it, it's pretty
It's
close.
close. It's-
Equal.
Yeah,
I mean, the area here and the area here is, I guess, what you're really concerned with, and you know, if this is tend to be a straight line, then it's probably pretty close to be an exact wash.
that was that is ultimately is our intent, to make it a fair swap.
So is the, you know, the commission in favor of this change, I guess? Any issues or concerns with this change? And if not, then we'll ask that Libby, you know, prepare.
yeah, she's gotta put some plants, there's gonna be some planting going on here, correct?
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
She has
so
to
I
come
think
back to
we
us.
have, I think the plants that she had picked before, I don't think they were, all of them were appropriate for the area. I think we
She
need
never
more.
came forward with a full design yet, did she?
No, she
don't think
touched a
so.
little bit
No.
about on the plantings at the last meeting,
Right.
but not
Yeah.
full blown.
So now she'll be
Yeah.
triggered for a full design, including rock wall plantings and
Yeah,
shed
And
and all.
then if she can't, it's a lot to do. If you can't do it before the next meeting, Tim, can we ask you to give an update on where that stands for the next meeting?
Absolutely. We can either come back to the meeting, or I can give Rebecca an update. Whatever the board prefers, we can certainly do that, but we will stay engaged with you until this is wrapped up and completed through the springtime. So however the board wishes for us to communicate with you, we can do that.
yeah, ideally you'd have a plan for the next meeting, and if not, you would at least let us know the progress.
Sure.
of that plan.
Yeah, we'll be in communication with her either tonight before I leave or early tomorrow morning, and I'll get some feedback and I'll just keep Rebecca posted up until the next meeting where we are.
Okay, excellent. Any other questions from the commission? Well, Rebecca? All right, thank you for your time, and we look forward to the next update.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.
All right. Next up, 8 o'clock. We have Article 97 Land, Hemlock Road, Public Lands Preservation Act.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Michael McCarthy, representing the Light Department. On the Zoom meeting, along with us all, are Pete Dion, the general manager, and Dave Paulson, the engineer for the Light Department. If I may, I'd just like to kind of set the context. Pete and Dave will walk you through the details, but I just would like to take a minute to explain what brings us here, and more from a process perspective. So as you well know, I'm sure, the Light Department would like to construct a energy park, a mini grid between the proposed Northeast Metropolitan Vocational School and the existing and maybe proposed Wakefield High School. I'll let them go into the detail on the microgrid and what the benefit of the microgrid is and how that works and how they came to be. But in terms of how we came to be here, the town originally acquired a 6 acre parcel just up beyond Landrigan Field on the way to the boat on the right-hand side of Hemlock in 1955. There was a deed to the town from a private entity. There was a vote by the finance committee at that time to buy the land for $2,000. And the FinCom vote included the words "for playground purposes." So land, that 6 acre parcel, becomes subject to Article 97 of the amendments to the state constitution. What the Light Department would like to do is use a 1 acre portion of that 6 acre parcel by gaining an easement from the town, and an easement is enough of a conveyance to bring it under Article 97. So we'd like to use that 1 acre parcel for the purposes of building this microgrid. As a part of that, we need two things from the town. One is an easement, which is why we went to town meeting. And in the process of going to town meeting, we had to go to town council, we had to go to FinCom, and we went to planning board as well under the general bylaws from the town. Rather the town charter that was required. So we did gain the support of the town council, the planning board, and the FinCom unanimously to grant the easement, number one. And then the second part of that is we need a home rule petition. We need state legislative approval. In fact, we need a 2/3 vote of the state legislature to approve the use of the Article 97 land. We also needed a 2/3 vote at town meeting, which we received. So that's kind of how we got to where we are now. As a part, as you may well know, I'm sure you do, the EOEA policy regarding transfer or conversion of the Article 97 land requires a number of things, including us or people, parties such as us, even though we are another municipal entity and the land would be used for municipal purposes, to obtain the Conservation Commission's approval in the form of a declaration or a determination that releasing this 1 acre parcel to the proposed use would be surplus to the municipal conservation, and I think the other word was open space, I'll use. And then the EOEA goes on and explains how to approach that. And really the approach in a nutshell is replace the land with equal or greater land of equal or greater resource value, which we think we're doing, and we'll get into the details, both in terms of proposing specific land that would be dedicated to a conservation restriction, conservation use, as well as proposing a new park. Because I think the Conservation Commission, among your other many duties for the town, you're the stewards in some respects of the open space of the town. So we're proposing to do two things. replace the 1 acre parcel, although not all of it would be cleared, much of it would, with a greater parcel, a greater size parcel with greater resource value, as well as to dedicate a new park, to develop and dedicate a new park. So that kind of what brings us here. With your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to turn it over to either Pete or Dave Paulson to kind of walk you through the details and the specifics of the proposal.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure,
The replacement land, isn't that already town-owned land?
it is. It is.
And what is that used for?
It's owned by the Light Department. It's not currently used, but it has the potential to be used for any number of things, including development by the Light Department. It's off a large substation, as you know, off Farm Street, where the National Grid lines come in. So it could be used for any number of uses. I mean, I think if we look at land and say, hey, there's trees on it and the town already owns it, you know, it's never going to be used for anything else. You could probably say that about a lot of land that's now developed, whether it's developed by a private party somehow or by the town. But I think the point is that the land beyond Lincoln Field, this 1 acre parcel is not used now. It's not likely to be used. And to develop a playground there, which is really the purpose of that grant originally, you'd have to knock the trees down. You have to blast the ledge out.
But can I ask you, the articles, the land you want to swap out? So that's not, you're saying that's not Article 97 land. It's just land owned by.
That's right.
Could be used to anything the Light Department wants to use.
That's correct. So we're proposing that you'll hear the details, but we're proposing more than a square foot by square foot replacement.
I understand.
There'd be a conservation restriction on it. And you'll hear that that's land is in an area of critical environmental concern. So it has great resource value.
And can I ask one further question? And do you think you'll get 2/3 of the state legislature?
We wouldn't be doing this if we didn't think we would. Yeah,
Alrighty.
we think we would.
Thank you. I'm sorry I interrupted you enough.
No, you didn't interrupt me. I'm done. With the chairman's permission, I just defer now to Pete and or Dave.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Thank you. Dave, is it possible for Dave to share his screen?
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Pete Dine. I'm the general manager of the Light Department. I know I've met some of you before, but not everybody. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us. Again, as Mike said, we've come to ask for your support for the Energy Park project, which is going to serve as a microgrid. It's a unique opportunity to work on a very forward-looking energy project for the two high schools. And you know, obviously one is a little further down the planning line than the other, but both the Energy Park, regardless, will have benefit to both schools, regardless of what happens with the Memorial High School. On the first, if you want to go ahead, Dave, the first issue is from a carbon emissions perspective. When the tech originally approached us, they were going to heat the building with gas. We strongly felt that we wanted it to be an all-electric building from an environmental perspective to help us reach our net zero 2050 goal, as well as from a peak gas usage perspective here in Wakefield. There's a lot of reasons why we prefer that school to go all electric. And we began working with their design team last year. What this chart just shows briefly is that we anticipate a reduction of about 1,300 metric tons of carbon emissions on a yearly basis by having the tech go to an all-electric heating and cooling system. On the left is what we would anticipate the carbon footprint of the tech if it were both gas heated and use electricity. On the right, it's just if we had all electric. And the other thing that's important to note is these two yellow bars that show the carbon footprint of those yellow bars is going to decrease over the next 30 years as we move our supply closer and closer to net zero. So what you could see is that the remaining footprint would still be significantly higher. As those yellow bars shrink, the footprint of the tech being on gas heat for the next 50 years would far exceed what the impact would be on the right side. Again, if we're able to do this, we're also able to help the new high school be all electric as well, more than doubling the carbon savings. So the reason we decided to embark on this is that we could do an innovative, we have an innovative opportunity to create an energy park, which includes battery storage, solar from the roofs of both buildings, a gas-fired generator to provide emergency backup and life safety. And we can do it all in one place that can also act as a microgrid and separate from the grid as a whole, enabling the high school ultimately to become a heating and cooling center or whatever else the town may want to use it for down in the future. So what we were really tasked with was looking at how where we could possibly build this resource. And it really needed to kind of exist between the two property lines. In talking to both schools and their design teams, we really needed to make sure that we were physically in between the two of them. Neither school had the ability to give us any kind of open space from their sides because of their design plans. And we really, we had asked in both cases, and they're very limited on their sites right now. So we were really charged with evaluating the land in between. We worked with Hayes Engineering to look at that area that starts basically from the tennis courts and the Beasley Oval up the hill, up and down to the gate of the Tech right now. So that's that area that Dave's pointing out in between the two. Along that area, you have the green space, and then you have the parking area. One of the additional restrictions we faced was that the parking area, as these two construction projects go on, the parking is at a huge premium at both these schools. And if the high school is to be built, that parking will become even a more significant premium as they eliminate parking spaces. And as the Tech's being built, they're going to be eliminating parking spaces, at least on a temporary basis. So we could not consider that that area of the parking lot across from Landrigan Field. So we were really tasked with looking at the green space between the two, the Landrigan Field and the beginning of the Tech gate. We contracted Hayes to look at that whole area, and they determined that the most optimal site with that 1 acre spot where the circle is right now. As I said, we drew that up. We went to town meeting. We did get their support, which we truly appreciated. But as Mike said, we're well aware that we need to offset and replicate, or offset the what's being taken from a resource perspective, as well as a use perspective. You want to keep going, Dave? So as I think I've covered most of this, the finding a location that physically existed between the two parks. Another reason for that is obviously the two are going to be electrically interconnected. And so we needed to make sure we found a place that we could adequately do that. And going too far afoot would add, a ton of cost to a project like this. We really couldn't go outside the bounds of that area between the two schools, or it would make it cost prohibitive. The construction needs of both schools, again, while they're being built, and the select location is centrally located with the proper topography. This is just a quick overview slide of the electrical interconnection. Ultimately, the park will be underground fed all the way from Farm Street up to the site. Right now, it's overhead fed for the whole way. The school will be bringing their utility usage out to the front of the gate into the energy park, and then as whatever happens at the high school takes place, we would underground the front part of that as well, so that it would become all underground utility, which improves its reliability and obviously its aesthetics. You want to go ahead, Dave? From a vegetation management perspective, obviously, we definitely understand that there's more than just replacing the trees that are involved, but there was thought put into what we are going to do from veg management perspective. We're maintaining a 25-foot natural buffer in the front of the site so that we can obviously, from a streetscape perspective, minimize the impact, as well as from a natural perspective. We will replant. We've identified 128 trees that we'll have to remove. We will be planting a minimum of 128 new trees. And we've been asked to make sure that as we remove those trees, we put in our spec that the wood that's generated would not be burned, but it would be reused through either lumber or mulch. And we're able to put that in our tree removal spec. The trees would be planted on public ways as well as private property. As you know, you may or may not know, we have a tree replacement program. Any tree that we take down, we replace. We've worked very closely with Dennis Fazio from the town for many years on tree replacements, to the point where we're in pretty good shape with him, and we continue to work with him. But we also expanded that to plant trees on customer property. We planted over 60 trees on customer property last year, and then we plan to continue that program as well. So as Mike said, there's two parts to the replacement. The first part is, actually, I'll skip down to Burns, Dave, and then we'll go back to this. So the Wakefield Gas and Light Department has a 4 kV substation on Ballister, which is just off of Albion. And if you look at the right-hand side, if an aerial view, it's an area that's surrounded by apartment and condo buildings. And that 4 kV substation has been there for over 75 years. We are going to retire that substation. Actually, yesterday, the transformers were removed. And what we are offering as part of the replacement is that we would convert this actually to a green space and a park. We're working with Brett Riley to do a preliminary design of that that incorporates a lot of benefit to the town, again, from converting this from an industrial space to a green space. Brett, if you have any questions specifically about it, Brett's on with us tonight, but he put a lot of thought into how to lay this out. And I think considering the physical location of this is a great resource. If we're able to put the energy part, we had originally thought about putting a battery storage system at this location. However, if we're able to put the battery storage at the energy park, we could convert this to green space. So that's the first half of this. Then the second half, as Mike said, was at our Farm Street substation, just up the road from the tech and the high school. We have a substation that sits back a little bit off of Farm Street right now. But the light department owns approximately, I think is it 13 acres, Dave?
12 acres. Yep.
12 acres. What we're proposing to do is identify approximately 2.5 acres of that site that would be deeded for conservation or whatever formal mechanism we need to use that would, more than replace the land that we would be taking to construct the energy park. Again, this area is identified separately by the town and the state, I believe, as an area of critical environmental concern. So from a resource perspective, we think we're actually adding a greater value site than what we're potentially taking. And again, although nobody wants us to cut down the trees, we will, I think we're trying to be responsible in terms of how we would potentially go about offsetting that usage.
Hey, Pete, is that land that you've identified, is it all upland, or is it already, is it buffer zone, or is it wetland?
The only wetland is down at the bottom.
I'm sorry, down.
Excuse me, John Ogren, Hayes Engineering. There is, you can kind of see there is a pond that's located on that parcel A up at the top of the hill. So there is, from that perspective, a wetlands perspective, there's an area now. There's no wetlands located on the parcel off of Hemlock. So we are giving some area back that obviously has some greater value, certainly from a wetland standpoint.
Well, you could look at it the opposite way, that's protected anyhow. You're giving, this land that already exists for conservation purposes because it can't be, it's unbuildable. Am I right? I guess my point is,
Well, and again, that's why
And
we're proposing.
what is on that piece of just what's on that property now? Is it wooded? Is it heavily wooded? Is it, what is it?
It's
So
wooded, yes.
it's wooded land.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again,
Thank you.
recognizing that in the area down below as well, is that's why we're proposing almost 3 times what we're taking in terms of.
Mhm. Okay.
forward.
Peter, what is the difference between an energy park and the substation? Are they two different animals? Or I don't understand what this is all about. Why do you call it an energy park?
Solar panels.
Because we're having multiple sources of so right now, the substation on Farm Street is fed by National Grid transmission lines only. The energy park is gonna have multiple resources. It's gonna have electricity from the grid, but it's also gonna have separate resources, which include the battery, the 5 megawatt, 15 megawatt hour battery, and the generator as well. So that all 3 of those resources can work together to serve this. So again, it can separate from the grid if necessary, but it can also provide significant cost savings to both schools because we would take over the life safety and emergency requirements of both schools. Right now, based on the current preliminary designs, each of those schools would be required to put approximately a 2,000 kW diesel generator to provide their emergency and life safety backups. And we would actually centralize that. So we would save significant cost to both schools because that emergency requirement would now be taken up centrally by the energy park.
Okay. And were you kind of implying that the only way this works is if both schools would do it? It's not cost effective if only one school does it? Or I was sensing that you were saying that possibly if the high school did get built, would this thing still go in?
Yes, because my understanding is from the town that even if the high school didn't go in, there would have to be some kind of major renovation to the existing school. So we could still do the benefits that this would serve. They would still have to be brought up to code. We would still put solar on the roof of the renovated existing school. So this wouldn't go to waste if that were to happen.
Okay.
You know, obviously we worked with both.
Okay, and you were saying that you were gonna own the facility, I believe is what I heard, right?
Correct.
Does that mean you'd own the solar panels on the school roof?
We will.
And so you'd be responsible for maintaining them?
Correct.
Okay.
So the way it would work is the deal that we've proposed to both schools is that they would get 100% of the output that they could use. Anything that flows back that they're not using would be used to charge the battery and power the park.
Okay.
So is there an opportunity also for any excess to go back into the grid, or is it just back to the batteries?
No, it would flow back right to the grid. If the battery is fully charged, then it would flow back to the grid.
Okay.
Could this actually produce a savings on your electric bill?
Well, I think it actually will, because this is going to be used as a capacity resource as well. What we do with a battery now, that we already have a battery at the BB substation, and we run that battery at least 3 times a month to offset the capacity needs. Anytime the grid predicts a peak for a month, we run that battery, and it takes approximately 2 megawatts of load that we would be required to have. We take it off the system by powering it with the battery, and that has a direct cost savings to the ratepayers. So over the past 4 years, we've saved the ratepayers approximately $6 million by running our capacity resources. So we anticipate within the next, once the energy park is built, we would generate similar savings. So a lot of that, again, would flow beyond just the 2 schools back to the ratepayers as a whole.
When would the gas generator be run at that energy
It would be run for, so the way it would work is that it would be wired to the school's emergency needs would be fed from the battery first, and then would be the generator, based on the analysis of whatever was causing an outage, the generator would be kicked on, and it would also be run as a capacity resource when needed.
So the schools and the energy park could essentially island as a microgrid.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
So I know I went to your when you had your public meeting, And I know that you were talking about, where am I going with this? I'm just thinking, you had said that the batteries might have been able to be put at the schools.
No, that was a question that was raised, and it really is not possible because if you look at this drawing that Dave just put up, somebody raised the question of why can't you put the batteries at each school? And the reason is because it needs to be all interconnected in order to serve the purpose. Because if you can't run it in as one unit together, then it defeats the purpose.
Okay.
And then there's the issue with taking up additional land at the schools for the battery as well.
Mhm.
How large is the battery capacity going to be?
It's a 5 megawatt, 15 megawatt hour. So basically it could run at 5 megawatts for 3 hours.
And how large are the schools' loads?
Each of the schools is projecting about 2 to 2.5. They would each be required to have about a 2000 kW generator. So it's about 2000 kW per school.
And
would
is that
the-
going to be what's met by the gas generator here now instead of on site?
Yeah, so the combination of the battery storage and the generator would serve that role, as well as, don't forget, we're gonna have solar on each of the roofs. So
Right.
So what were the, how many panels and what will be the power generated by the panels on the school?
we've estimated right now, based on the existing roof designs, about 300 kW at each school, plus or minus.
Okay,
The roof designs are obviously still being discussed, but
Yeah.
I think we're just under 300 for the tech and just over the 300 for the high school, based on the current designs. And I'm we will obviously, as we get closer, be able to nail that down. But right now they're estimated at approximately 300 kW each.
and that's
They
under
won't be
peak,
self-sufficient.
peak conditions or peak sun?
Yeah.
Okay,
So well, you size the solar field for its maximum output, and then obviously the data shows that a solar system is generating approximately 15% of the time. So
okay.
Okay.
so it's fortunately, both design teams have been great to work with, and we've been able to put this unique concept together. We've already received, one of the other things I didn't talk about is the educational benefit. Obviously, we're going to develop programs for the students at both schools. We have a good partnership with the tech right now. We have co-op students that come to work for us every semester. And so the promotion of green technologies is also a huge piece of this. We've already received a grant from the American Public Power Association to look at the development of the educational programs as well. So that's an added benefit as well. And obviously, as we all know, as we move towards net zero, the real goal is to make sure that, we build these sustainable concepts for the future.
Mhm. What's the life expectancy of this system? What's the
40 years.
40
Yeah,
years?
plus or
It depends, 20, at least 20 for the batteries and 40 for the generator. And the batteries, you could swap out some of the batteries to extend the life, but
Yeah,
substantial.
one of the deals with the battery systems now is that they obviously have longer life and they're more flexible as the technology advances. In addition, they're very, very good at self-monitoring. In other words, within each of those white boxes on the bottom of that drawing right there is a whole series of batteries. Each cell is actually individually monitored, so we watch closely the life of each battery. And a lot of times what they're doing is they're swapping out individual components after a period of time if they begin to show a degrade in their useful life.
Mhm.
Will each solar panel have a microinverter?
I think we'll have, I'm pretty sure that's the way we'll design it, yeah.
Now you'll be moving your power around at in AC, presumably. The connections to the energy park and all that will be AC, not DC, right?
Yeah, it's AC. So it'll be AC and it'll be a microcontroller that
Mhm.
controls how all the assets are interconnected between the solar,
Right.
the battery, the generator. So there's a smart system that interconnects everything with the grid. And that's important that the microgrid operates correctly. So
Right.
that will all be an AC system.
And these will be lithium ion batteries, assume?
Yeah, some version of lithium ion. Yep.
And the battery will have its own inverter at the site.
Yep. Right here.
You're not using any technology that might go bankrupt or something, right? And you can't become obsolete or something like that.
Well, I think any technology could become obsolete, but we're going to be using the most current technology. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, we can talk about trees now, I guess. Is there any reason why this whole system couldn't have gone closer up to where the Voke is, where they're doing all the blasting anyways?
so we're right at the edge of the property line for the Voke. I think the green space that they're already taking, we don't want to take additional green space, and the area that's already being built on and used that already has either a current purpose or a future purpose. So we really couldn't go into the tech property. We did discuss that with them at the beginning, but there's really no space on either of the school's property to put this.
Well, but it's all ledge, Peter. It's just that area that you circled, right? That's right where the gate is, right?
Right.
There's not ledge. It's not all ledge. So this is flat in here, and
It
this
goes up,
side,
yeah.
this side over here is some ledge, but we're actually avoiding the ledge. So with the ledge, we'll have to take out some ledge with a driveway, but for the most part of the evaluation that was done by Hayes Engineering was to select a site that that didn't have that much ledge on it. So this particular location has very little ledge that would impact the site. It's somewhat level. We'll have to take out ledge, what would act like a natural retaining wall, because the elevation starts to increase on this side. So it'll actually work as a natural retaining wall where the driveway comes in. So
Yeah.
let me just go back to this right here, the setup. So there's ledge here on this side, but the rest of this lot, does rise up towards the back a little bit.
I think
But-
you're saying though that, Michael, aren't you really saying that the lot, you think the lot is flat because it's definitely ledge?
Yeah, it's more or less flat, correct, yep.
Okay.
And there may be,
At the
there may
front
be
portion
some
of it
ledge. Maybe some ledge under there, but we haven't done any test pits yet to determine what how deep the ledge is, but
Yeah,
there may be some.
you should look at the geological report that the Voke has, because it's very enlightening about the ledge that's out there and the type of ledge it is and its condition.
Mhm.
You've probably already seen that, I imagine.
Yep.
Okay.
So I think the goal today was to present the things that we've considered with this and ask for the board's support. Again, I think it's a unique project for the town. And obviously there's some extra steps that we need to take through the home rule petition process, but we definitely feel that the environmental benefits far outweigh the costs that we're gonna see.
Yeah.
Can I
Okay.
ask a quick question?
Mhm.
Along the vein of reducing carbon emissions, I know you guys said that you would replace the individual number of trees. Would you consider replacing a canopy or something like that as opposed to the individual number of trees? And I say that because certainly when we're talking about carbon, reducing carbon emissions and carbon sequestering and whatnot, a large mature tree would certainly reduce it more so than the little individual sapling. So although the number might be equivalent, I'm not sure that their function is equivalent. Would you guys consider something like that?
I guess we could consider, I don't know what the location would be though.
I know that is challenging and I understand that. I just feel like that would be sort of a little bit more equivalent, that considering also that there's a lot of tree removal for the school as well. So just thinking about, as opposed to just the number, we think about the functions, values of the trees, it provides a lot more when it's a full mature tree versus the little spindly things that we end up getting. Just wondering if maybe we could work on that, have that be part of the discussion. In addition, how about we talk for a second, and maybe Michael wants to talk on that about the public, is it the Public Preservation Land Act or whatever? I may have mixed up the letters. I did have it in front of me a moment ago, and it does talk about conducting an alternatives analysis that I think has to be submitted,
Those two tires in the back of your car.
and
Just
making that alternatives analysis made public. I was just reading it just a couple of seconds ago. What are you guys thinking as far as meeting those requirements? I mean, obviously you guys have looked at alternatives. Do you have something put together to submit to satisfy that requirement?
Not.
No, it's kind of new.
Yeah, it's very new.
Yeah.
But what that's really asking for is to us to do what you're suggesting, which is to put in narrative form that which we've already done in evaluating the best location for the site. So we actually have talked to John at Hayes Engineering, and we're starting to put that together. So the work has been done. It just hasn't been put in narrative form because, you know, obviously the law was not in existence a month ago.
And so one of the reasons why I ask is because it says that narrative has to, it says make the analysis public. So I'm wondering if it's best that when you submit, can you submit that narrative and then we put it up on the website or something to that effect prior to them voting on this?
By them, you mean the legislature?
No, I meant the commission.
I think if we waited that long, we'd have a real problem with the project timeline. It might actually kill it. So that would be part of the process with the state. I would add, just, you know, for the sake of clarity, that the law was just passed. There's some question as to whether and when it will be effective and to what extent it will be applicable to this project. But nonetheless, you know, that's something we're going to do it anyway in terms of the that evaluation, because I think it's helpful and I think the state will want that no matter what. But yeah, we don't see, you know, we'd prefer to act quickly as possible here because we're not of our own making, but we're on a very, very tight timeline.
And so let me also ask that when the commission votes on this, they have to vote that they're effectively considering this to be surplus. Is that
in the context of the policy, which essentially is it being replaced on a square foot by square foot basis or greater? And is that land replacing it in the conservation restriction sense of equal or greater resource value? So obviously we say that is, but you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't also point out that we're also building an open space park as a part of this. So the final analysis and evaluation is done on the state level by the state legislature, quite frankly, but the EOEA has a lot to say about that. And you're a part of that EOEA process.
Okay.
Well, that kind of implies as a matter of diligence that we should look at we should look at all 3 parcels, right? Does that make sense? Have a site walk this weekend?
I couldn't hear the last part, Peter, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm just asking my colleagues whether we should have a site, whether to make a qualitative evaluation of the parcels. Shouldn't we look at them?
Yeah, I think it would be helpful. I mean, especially in the new location where they want to put it. Mike, I know what you're saying. I know it's flat out there, but it is higher. It's much higher than the street, I believe. So I can understand why you picked that spot. I'd still like to take a look at the areas you're proposing for replacement.
I think that makes sense.
I don't know if you can lead us in the right direction. If you can, do you guys want to look with us, or you guys have seen enough of it?
We're happy to have somebody join you.
That would be helpful just to point it out. Yeah.
Is everyone on board with that?
Yes.
John could probably show us around too, you know.
John shaking his head.
I know he's not responding.
I can do it. I cannot do it this weekend, however.
Well,
We
time
could,
is important right now, so. Well, whatever you want to do.
I mean, we
think-
can meet out there. We could show you if you have questions, you can ask them of John at the beginning of the week.
Yeah. Okay. Can we pick a location to meet and a time?
Why don't we meet up by the gates? That's a place we all
Where?
know how to get to. Up by the gates, we'll see. The
Oh, up
reason-
by the
First
gates?
thing you want to see is that site, right?
Yeah,
So what, yeah, which location, the gate to where?
Yeah.
the gate to break to the boat.
Okay, that gate.
That's where you're putting it, right?
At
And then
gate,
the
okay.
locations you want to use as a, you know, as a spot that we could develop for.
Park.
What?
The park
For a park,
location and
for a
then the,
park,
and then
yeah.
the rep, and then the,
Right.
the replication. Yeah, the other one, the other location by the, down by
Right.
Farm Street. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the park location is nowhere near this. It's on Albion Street.
Yeah, but I still want to see it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the other one is near, relatively nearby. So that'll
Mhm.
probably be the second spot on the journey. What time works for you guys?
And what day? I cannot do Sunday, but
After breakfast.
on
He was
Saturday,
buying.
Saturday morning?
Yeah,
at 9 o'clock.
okay.
I won't be available this Saturday,
I
but
can do Saturday afternoon, but not morning.
Okay.
you guys can go Saturday if you'd like.
How about Sunday then?
I cannot
Like
do
Sundays.
Sunday, but
Okay. How
But
about
you-
next
okay.
week? How about next week? Gives everyone more time to plan.
Yeah, I could do next weekend.
All right, let's do
next
that.
week is fine.
The 17th, 18th?
Either one would work for me.
17th is preferable.
Same here.
Okay.
All right, so what are we talking now?
9 o'clock,
On what day?
What day? Saturday or Sunday?
17th.
Saturday, the 17th.
What time?
At 9?
Is there any way we could do it earlier?
8.
I knew it.
8:30. All right.
Work.
we settle on-
All right, so we're happy to show you the locations. Are there other, I understand Rebecca's question. I just don't have an answer to how to. Lands obviously, if you have a place you want to propose that we would build, plant more bigger trees as a canopy, but right now,
Mhm.
we don't have any of that land, and so I don't know if there's a site that you have that you would want us to plant some trees on.
Yeah,
I didn't have anything in mind. I was hoping you were going to find something.
Well,
You can only do what we.
I can't make up land I don't own, so.
yeah.
Well, I figured town property.
Well,
All right, so we've got that nailed down?
8:30.
17th at 8:30.
Okay,
Yes.
Meeting at the gate on Hemlock, is that right?
yes.
Yes.
The gate to the vote, not the gate to,
Not the break hard gate, but
Right,
the
not the break
entrance
hard
to
Yeah, the
vault.
guard shack.
The gatehouse.
Guard check.
The guard
at the
check.
vault,
Yeah.
Yes, okay,
Meet the guard check.
can
fine.
I just ask, is the area that you're proposing, is that walkable?
None of, the two replacements are not really walkable. I mean, there's a little path that goes up, you can see a little bit of it.
So the two replacements are unwalkable, but the area that you're gonna swap out is walkable.
Burns is walkable. The existing Burns substation, which would be converted to the
No,
public.
but the new location of the new substation, is that walkable?
Difficult.
I mean, it's a wooded lot right now, so.
So we really can't walk it. I mean, we can see it, but we.
No, you can walk it. You can walk. It's gonna be rough, but you can walk it.
All
You
righty.
can at least you see it. I've seen it.
Is it staked off? In
No,
any
but
way?
the-
So the only one that's staked off is so at Burn Station on Ballister, that's fenced in, so that's easy. At the Votech, that area was all staked off, off of Hemlock.
Okay,
There's no stakes at the one behind our substation on Palm
okay,
right now. Yep.
Okay,
And that's a incline up to the Castle Court or whatever the neighborhood is behind. So you can't get in through that side because that's all private property. So we'd have to
Go in by
go
the-
through that, go from Farm Street.
okay.
Fairly steep coming from Farm Street into the property.
all right. Anything else?
It's probably more accessible from the neighborhoods at the top, but you'd have to cut through people's yards.
Correct, yeah,
It's
yeah.
not gonna be real easy to see the land.
All right, any other questions or comments regarding this? And if not, we'll plan to be there on the 17th at 8:30 and meet near the gatehouse at the Vogue. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we get a meeting invite from Rebecca for that?
She did. She sent it already.
Thank you.
Wow.
Is there a question? There was a question from the public, I thought.
Yeah, yes, there is a question now. Christine, your hand is raised.
Yes, hi, thank you for taking my question. I'm at 22 Woodland Road. No, I just had some questions about the process for discussing this land transfer. I mean, the agenda had this item for 15 minutes. It didn't say that Wakefield Municipal Gas and Light Department was going to be presenting. It really just said Article 97 Land, Public Lands Preservation Act, which we really didn't discuss much about. It was just a long presentation on the energy park. So I want to say that I'm pleased that you didn't feel obligated to take a vote tonight, even though that was clearly being, urged. And I also want to mention that, at the town meeting a few weeks ago, the Conservation Commission committed publicly to come before you and listen and abide by your recommendations. And, I'm seeing already that there's equivocation with regards to, making reports public. Rebecca clearly asked that the alternatives analysis be shared publicly. I would like to be able to, read about these replacement properties and whether or not they have equal or greater natural resource value. So I just feel like, I'm trying to understand the process for making a decision here. And if there's a vote, is it going to be considered, a unanimous vote, as I thought was the intention of the Article 97 law?
So I guess, what is
Okay.
the actual question?
What is the process for making the decision?
On our end?
Yes, you're gonna have to vote on this proposal, right, for the land transfer?
Yes. So we're gonna do a site walk next weekend and get a feel for the land and what's being presented to us. That's the first step of the process for us.
And this will be on the agenda for the meeting on the following Tuesday, then. Is that,
And then are you going to require per the Preservation Act that there be a report that the public can look at before you vote?
I can tell you what I wrote down in my notes that I was going to do, and that was going to be to contact EOEA and find out what the effective date of that statute is, because I'm not clear whether or not that's effective immediately or whether or not there's a wait time. And I think, Michael, you had alluded to something like that. I don't know that answer. I have to get that answer. So I think that would be the first step, is that I will find out that information, and then we will decide at that point what we would do in regard to following that new act that, again, is unfamiliar, or not completely unfamiliar, but we're not used to that process. So that's the very first thing that I'm going to have to find out. I'm happy to let anyone know when I find out that information. Christine, I have your email. I can certainly copy you on that. That would likely and hopefully be determined prior to the site visit. Then we would have that information. At a minimum, we should have that information by the next meeting, and we would start off with that. So that way we would know what our next steps would be. Is that helpful?
It is helpful to have things to look at before the meeting, or to know what the meeting is going to cover beforehand, so that, you know, we can be prepared. Tonight wasn't that way. I thought it was going to be a 15-minute sort of background discussion on Article 97, not a presentation with a request for a vote. So that I think it'd be helpful to know before the next meeting, like what is actually expected to happen at the meeting, so that, you know, we can prepare, the public can prepare and submit comments and keep track of, you know, what we're interested in.
Okay, well, I can try to be more precise on the agenda. I usually leave it somewhat general as things are in flux. In regard to the 15 minutes, I think I wrote in a quick little email that sometimes I give a smaller time slot for things that I'm unsure as to how long they're going to take, based on the fact that it's easier for the commission to go over time than it is if we have, if I were to schedule something out and we have like 10 minutes extra, we just kind of have to sit there and wait. So I can be more diligent about providing more time. I'm just not sure sometimes how long the time is going to take. I can't predict or always predict how many questions the commission is going to have. But I can certainly take a look at that. And if you have any questions, by all means, just let me know.
Yeah, no, I appreciate everything that you do in service to the town. So, yeah, I mean, were you thinking there was going to be a vote tonight? I guess that's the piece that, you know, that's a pretty important milestone. And so that knowing that a vote will be taken on such a consequential project, that piece feels like the public should know about that beforehand. Yeah. Does that seem fair?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I think one of the reasons why is that this new law is we're not really exactly sure, because it's literally, you know, weeks old, exactly where we're going with that. I was not anticipating that this would be closed tonight. No, not usually. They typically like to see a site visit. So knowing that they typically do a site visit, it gives us a little bit more time to gather up that information and have more conversations about what is going to be required.
That's a good point.
Okay, yeah, it is a new law, but the Article 97 has been part of the Constitution of Massachusetts, and those requirements have been in place, you know, about submitting public reports and the alternatives analysis and the replacement. That is not new.
Right. So our town council, when this first came up, I was told that the EOEA policy at that time was just a policy and that it wasn't a statute. Therefore, it wasn't required to be followed exactly. This is what I was told by our town council prior to the signing that law. Now, since everything has changed, again, it just happens to be the timing is such that things are a little bit in flux. So previously, yes, there was always the EOEA policy, but like I said, when I inquired about it, I was told it was a policy only. So now that that has somewhat changed, it kind of leaves us a little bit up in the air, and we do have to straighten out exactly what is going to be required.
Well, Article 97 was in the Constitution and was a law. There was additional pieces that were just policy, but the part about doing the alternatives analysis and replacement land assessment were not just policy. So going in front of the Conservation Commission, that part was in policy. So I think, I'm sorry, I don't want to take up any more time. So I know you have a lot of work to do. So thank you for your comments and responses, and we can leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you. There is another hand raised. Bronwyn, your hand is up.
Hi, Bronwyn Delavope. I live at 8 Cyrus Street. Thanks for all the additional information. The previous speaker actually asked most of the questions that I was going to ask, and some of the comments I was actually going to make too. One of the things that I have found helpful, Rebecca, on agendas is often you'll see, vote anticipated put on right on the agenda so that everyone knows that a vote is anticipated. So that might be something helpful in the future. I wanted, although you guys already know this, I did feel that it was important just to note that the Ballister Street, the Burns property there is only 8,500 square feet, whereas the Energy Park is about 2/3 of an acre or so, which is 29,000 feet. So the Ballister Street Pocket Park, or whatever you want to call it, it does not really do too much to make up. Plus, it is, again, I do agree with I believe what Rebecca said, that replacing a grouping, an ecosystem of mature trees with street trees and a few trees in people's lawns, although a nice project, doesn't really cut it as ecologically speaking. And I did have one question. The mention of diesel generators has been brought up at almost every meeting, that in lieu of the energy park, that 2 diesel generators would have to be installed. Well, I have a question about that. I mean, diesel generators are not really de rigueur anymore. So why would anyone even be considering diesel generators at this point? Through you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, sure. So was it diesel generators that were being proposed, or were they gas generators being proposed?
There's a guideline that requires that a generator that's used for emergency backup be an uninterruptible supply, and natural gas is not considered that. Because of the combination of the battery with the natural gas generator, we're able to meet that requirement based on the town's assessment of it. So, but at the outset, you would be required to have a diesel generator because that's considered an uninterruptible supply for emergency purposes.
Okay.
So even with the energy park, through you, Mr. Chair, even with the energy park, is there going to be diesel generators?
No, if we build the energy park, we won't be required to, because we're combining the assessment of the building inspector and the town is that we will be able to bypass the requirement because we're combining the battery and the natural gas fire generator to serve that purpose.
So are either one of those uninterruptible supply of fuel?
The batteries would be.
The batteries would be.
So then you're
Why would the
proposing
batteries be?
gas generators at that site.
Cleaner than the diesel.
Yes.
The combination of the 2 resources is being considered more than adequate to meet the life safety and emergency needs of the 2 buildings.
Okay, so let's just say, for the sake of argument, and this is my last question, if the energy park did not go through for some reason, could then not gas generators and battery backups be built for both schools? Or one school or the other?
Well, it's significantly higher cost, yeah. I mean, the estimated savings for just the tech was 1.2 million. So you double that, that's an additional 2.4 million, 1.2 million for each school.
Okay, but
And they wouldn't have solar and they wouldn't have battery chargers.
right, but I was just talking about diesel as, a gas as opposed to diesel. That's all I was saying.
If they were, well, yeah, and the 1.2 million didn't include putting batteries at the school. So I would guess you'd more than double that cost if you're going to split it up between the 2 schools.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for the information.
Yeah, I know battery costs are extremely high. When people are looking at solar with battery backup, the battery backup cost to give you the backup you would need accelerates very quickly. You know, you could be looking at, for a house, 18,000 for batteries just for like 5 kilowatts, which isn't going to give you much. And then you have to double or triple that battery power just to keep your house going. And that cost would double and triple. So yeah, the battery costs go up very quickly.
Correct. That's why part of the benefit of this project is that we're combining all those emergency requirements into a single site for both schools.
I see.
Right.
Thank you. That additional information is helpful.
It looks like there's additional question. Bob Brooks, you have a question?
Yes, hi, Mr. Through the Chair, Bob Brooks from June Circle. The question, I was at the meeting and I'd like to find out if Mr. Dion could go over the numbers again. I think the total project cost was, I thought it was like $12 million. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and each school would pay what, $500,000?
Their cost that's included in what they would have to do is the infrastructure out to the property lines. So that's where they would be, they have to include in their budgets the utility costs to get those utilities out to the property lines.
Okay, so okay, now I understand. I wasn't, and that was what, $500,000 each?
That's our estimate, yeah.
Estimate, okay. It could go higher, it could go lower, whatever.
Whatever it's gonna take for them to get their utility piping to the property lines.
Would they be responsible for putting that in, or would they go through the gas and light department?
They would be responsible to get it to the property line.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to be moving on to our next topic. Thank you for the information in the presentation, on the Hemlock Road project.
Thank you all. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, and we'll see you Saturday at 8:30.
Yeah, a week from Saturday, right?
Yeah,
A week from Saturday.
Yeah, the 17th. This is the 17th, yes. Near
Thank
the
you.
Voc Gatehouse.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thank you,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is DEP 313620. It is 100 Hemlock Road, Northeast Metro Regional Vocational School. Public hearing continued, notice of intent. Let's get it going.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dave Conway from Niche Engineering. So the last time we met, we showed you a revised roadway layout. In that time, we've developed it further. Working on the stormwater, the rest of the utilities. There was some homework from our last meeting. One of the questions was offsite areas contributing to our site. And so to help graphically show that, we're going to ask Paige to share her plan, maybe the existing drainage areas. We pulled in the existing additional topo from the surrounding area, walked the edges to make sure we're picking up everything. And
can everyone see my screen?
It's
yes, that's the proposed.
Looking for the existing, sorry.
Yeah, we'll start with the existing.
Okay.
Because the proposed is still, so this is the existing. So we pulled in the existing contours, and around most of the school, the watersheds are close to the property line. It's the area on Page South, which we're picking up with the wooded area, the area coming across the easement. So those areas we're using we've delineated them here, then we field verified them. We're using this as a guide. We're setting up a design point for each of the wetland to make sure that in our proposed design, the catchment areas are similar. So we're not over directing water to one or under directing it to another. And then also along the kind of the quantifications we've been doing, and this is, we're going to need to show, Kai's going to need to show her, we had to do this in CAD. It's best shown in CAD, but it's the, for each of the wetland areas, we've started to do an accounting for the amount of existing and proposed impervious and pervious area within each of the each of the wetland buffers. So for wetland 1, we have a graphic and then a spreadsheet. So the graphic shows.
Do you want me to go to that, Dave?
Yeah, just pull up the CAD for the existing. And we're gonna have to bounce a little bit around a little bit, just because we're gonna show you CAD and then there's supporting numbers that are in the Excel spreadsheet.
So just as a high level, each one of these boxes is a zoom.
Oh,
in.
we're not seeing it yet.
Oh, I must be sharing. Oh, hold on. I must only have shared one program. Let's see if I can. I guess it won't let me bounce around between Bluebeam to CAD, so I'm gonna have to stop sharing in between each one, unfortunately.
All right, so we'll just stay on the CAD, and then we can follow up with the Excel, so we don't make people dizzy. But if you zoom out a little bit, and we look at like wetland 1 as an example, we're showing the 25-foot offsets and the 100-foot offsets, and then we're quantifying the existing and proposed disturbed areas in each of those zones, and then we're tabulating all that, so that we have an idea of, like, you know, what we're doing in each, what's existing in each, because some of these wetland areas actually do have existing disturbed areas, especially down towards the existing site. But what our amount of disturbances in each, we're quantifying that, and then that will help us as a guide. And this is something Matt suggested, to do this as a guide as we proposed mitigation. So there's other layers of this that we're adding on, which is we're looking at areas around the wetlands that have invasive species. So removing those, putting in native plantings, areas that are, you know, existing cart paths, things like that are degraded, replanting those, and so we get a good measure of existing impacts, proposed impacts, and proposed mitigation. So kind of like in a chart form, so you can use that to kind of like help weigh the decision. If we were just to pan around a little bit, I think 2 is a good one. 3, sorry. But again, this is just these areas are all like quantified on a separate spreadsheet where we show the different numbers. So what this one would tell us, the gray is areas that aren't being disturbed.
It's the areas within the buffer zone that are on our property.
Yep. And then if we go down towards like the existing school, just to show one of the ones that already has, like, so these are areas, buffer zone areas. The bluish green area is existing impervious area within the 100-foot buffer, and this is for wetlands series 7. So again, these are all quantified, and we have a similar graphic and supporting data for the proposed, and we're using this as a guide to kind of, again, make sure the mitigation is measurable to the impacts, including any sort of existing impacts that we're pulling out. Then,
Paige, could you zoom out just a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right, perfect.
This is the proposed that I just switched to
Okay.
now. Yeah. So it's the same areas, the same, buffer zones for each, comparing apples to apples, but the just area takeoffs have been adjusted based on the existing versus the proposed.
So for wetland flag 7, the impervious is the path, the paved path in Breakheart, paved
Mhm.
road, right?
Yeah, for series 7, it's actually the track.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the farthest out part.
All right. 6, is 6 the
Yes.
road that's in, yeah.
Or, well, actually, no, 6 is the riprap slope over here.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So I think this is something the members and actually Matt was kind of looking for us to kind of develop a quantifiable kind of like what's going on in each of the jurisdictional areas. And again, we're using this as a guide as we like, it's just as similar as we're using the previous watershed guide to make sure that, you know, the mitigation is commensurate with the impacts.
And to clarify, we use the limit of work as our boundary. So that's why the Breakheart path is not shown, because it's the same and it's not in our limit of work, and it's the same in the existing and the proposed.
Okay.
And that's for these numbers, which are kind of like the impact and mitigation numbers, right? So that like we're not doing the watershed numbers. We included offsite areas that contribute, even though those aren't changing, but just to make sure that the catchment areas we're keeping the catchment areas as similar. And we've further refined the roadway layout since we last saw you. In that we haven't changed the impacts really in any way, but we've started to layer on again the utilities. We're including what's going on at the intersection, which we've gotten guidance on, and just to make it a whole complete package. I don't know. I think we had a couple things we wanted to cover tonight, but this maybe being, and I hope I caught, because we were getting some different interpretations, but I hope this addresses what kind of what people were expecting us to kind of present tonight. Again, we're still, but I don't know if we have any questions on this you want to take for now, or.
Can I interrupt just for a second? I know Rebecca sent you a list of open items. Were
Yep.
you going to talk about those before you get to?
Oh yeah, but I didn't want to like jump to like the next 3 things before I left this.
Okay, sorry.
Wait, but
But
before
I can, because those actually the open item stuff's pretty easy if you want to cover it.
before you leave this, are you going to submit these drawings to us?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Because these are great, by the way.
And the charts you said that you had going. with
Yeah,
it.
well, actually, that's a good one. Thanks for reminding me. Because let me share my screen. So the CAD is very large and so I'm going, Paige, you stop sharing. I'll share my screen and I'll pull up and just to basically show you.
Dave, I can pull up the Excel if you need me to.
Oh, okay, yeah, go ahead. I didn't know if that
I
was
just have to
fully-
stop sharing and reshare because it only lets me show one program. I can't jump between different programs, but this is the Excel file.
So this is the Excel spreadsheet that shows the quantification of the numbers on the CAD sheet that you just saw. And I can just zoom into one so they can see it. The 2 different rows on Wetland Series 1 is from 0 to 25 and then 25 to 75.
25 to 100.
Sorry, 25 to 100. The second column, those numbers are the area in those areas. The 4th column, and there's headings for all these, is the disturbed areas in those areas. And then it's broken down to existing, what the disturbance is, what the land cover is, proposed what the land cover is, and what the change is. And we did this for each one of them. So it's basically verifiable off using and we'll turn the CAD that we were sharing into like PDFs, so they can all be just recreated and verified.
So Dave, are you saying that you're going to disturb out to 100 feet on is that what this is saying?
No, this is just a quantification of of this disturbance within those zones.
Okay, so you could be disturbing out to 100 feet from the
Yeah.
resource.
Yep, and on some of them we're you know we're not disturbing beyond the, or we're only disturbing, you know, from 100 to 95. So if we went back to look at the graphic for that wetland series 7, we're only touching the last 8 feet of it.
Were you able to put those flow paths on the drawing?
Yep, those are shown on the PDF. If we were to bounce back, and then that was part of like the additional field work we did, was to verify the flow paths, because things get you know, mostly really the kind of the micro stuff, what's going along where the power easement meets the school's property line. So it's the red's the flow paths from the far extent of the subcatchment areas for the different wetlands to the end.
So you did end up outside of your property line?
Right, but most of these areas, because they're not being altered because they're off site, are being just passed through our site to the wetlands that they contribute to now.
Okay.
So if we were to look at like that flow path for wetland 1, the kind of the middle one right there, yep. You know, that one now is going through the wildlife crossing that we've added.
So you're saying it's passing through.
The green line is the property line. I just traced over it, so
Yeah,
it's easier to
thank
see.
I'm curious as to what this does with the road alignment, with these different flow paths traveling across. Does it have any effect on what you're going to do with down by?
We're using it as a, well, this one, and we're using it as a guide to make sure the roadway alignment doesn't overly impact these flow paths and the areas contributing to these different wetlands. So on this is the same, similar graphic, but proposed with the subcatchment areas and then the flow paths.
So you just said that you would not be interrupting the flow paths with the proposed condition.
Yeah, we're you know, the part of the goal of the stormwater design is to try to mimic as best you can what is out there now.
Right.
So if you look at like wetland 2, that, you know, we want to make sure the area we're kind of maintaining as best we can, that, you know, what contributes to wetland 2 now.
Okay.
And what this starts to kind of put in focus is the you know, in these areas, the change is really the width of the roadway. You know, if we can maintain the existing flow paths, the existing offsite catchments, the intervention really is just the you know, the width of the roadway and its shoulders, and what we need to do to mitigate that, as opposed to like picking up 10 acres of offsite property and trying to manipulate that.
When you say it's passing through, the water's just passing through, you're saying that this off-site water is passing through your development, right?
Not so.
I'm trying to understand.
So each of these design points, each of wetland system is its own design point. So it's what we're using to measure it, you know, what we're doing in each of those wetland systems.
Mhm.
These offsite areas that we're not touching, and that
Right.
contribute to the wetland area now. So for example, the catchment area that computes to wetland 1,
Yep.
what we're trying not to do is cut that off, or to capture it and then have to like manipulate it or detain it in some way. So it's easy. It's much easier, and it mimics more of what's happening out there now. Is if the catchment for wetland 1, if we were to kind of like just move it through the road as opposed to like including it in the roadway drainage and trying to do something with it. So, here we have the area, we have the ledge cut, and then we have the rock trough adjacent to the ledge cut. So here we're looking at collecting the water that collects in the rock trough and moving it to the far side of the road using a pipe and a level spreader. If the road wasn't here, this water would move to this wetland 1. So this is our way of trying to mitigate that, continue that flow. This offsite water is clean, so we don't want to put it into the roadway system where it will mix with water from the roadway surface, and then we have to upside all our mitigation for treatment. So if it's clean water moving onto our site, we'd like to move it on through to its final destination.
Okay, but this really, the only other thing I'm thinking about is everyone needs to understand that the width of your the limit of your work in a lot of these areas where you have ledge is going to be the toe slope to toe slope. So you're going to end up with a working area like last time you were here, it was like 70 feet.
And we're accounting for that.
Well,
so in the disturbed areas that we're trying to quantify, we're including with work from toes, this areas that we are touching, not just the pavement.
Okay, I have to think about that.
I think when
I mean, this is going to be trees and everything that we probably don't really even know how many trees are coming down at this point, because when we were out there looking at it, we were looking at a 24-foot road, and then we laid out, the side slope what we thought it was. But in some areas, you're like 80 feet out.
And just so
that means trees and disruption and all of that to go along with it.
And to help minimize that, subsequent to the last meeting, Dan Wells from LEC went out and geolocated the significant trees along this corridor. And we don't have that on the CAD that Paige is sharing, but we do have it on our working plans. When we've been using that as a guideline for where these how to protect them and where to put the mitigation and where not to have some of these locations love the level spreaders in the absence of the trees around them might look a little strange, but it's because we're trying to work around the existing vegetation that's outside of the like TOA slopes. So we put a good deal of effort in trying to locate what's out there, what's significant, what's invasive, what's a natural hardwood, and trying to include that into the updated design.
Can you back that out just a little bit so I can see a little more of it? Okay, so you've put the drainage system in. Is that what these T-like sections are?
Yes.
And that's like wing walls or something?
The wing walls would be better shown. Yeah, right there. Can you see her hand,
Yeah.
Yes.
And so what's that long end up?
that
Level
Yeah.
spreader.
level spreader. And that one's, just so you know, that one's because we are developing, that one's getting pulled back closer to the toe slope. I believe that's the one.
And you've actually confirmed that the flow lines that you have in your drawing match up with what's out in the field?
Yeah, we went out there after the meeting, after our last meeting, and once we got the additional topo to kind of make sure what was going along. Most of the work was done along this line, and we did confirm the rest of the site. But this is where as you pointed out, it gets tricky because it's where the easement meets our property line, and there's a lot going on there. So Paige went out and confirmed the boundaries of the different catchment areas and what's flowing where.
Okay. So in the areas where the flow line is, well, I guess it doesn't matter. I was worried about area 3, that the system you were going to use in there. Where are you going to put the wildlife corridors?
One's right there.
Along each one of those, right?
One's right there, and then there's another one to the left.
Where the green paths go through. Here.
All right. All right.
So right there, road elevation 138. And the contour lines are 1 foot contours on that riprap?
Yes.
Okay. So it's about 8 feet up near the wing walls, maybe?
About 6.
Okay.
And we're coming up with a strategy to treat like the areas where we have riprap slopes where we're trying to get down quicker, to treat that some way, to provide some mitigation so we can get something growing on those. It wouldn't be trees, but that's where we're working with LEC and Warner Larson on what we can do to those slopes to kind of get something growing on them.
Are these accurate now as far as how far out the toe slope is? Because I know at one point you said they weren't, they were just drawn in.
No,
So-
these are accurate. And then just so you know, the rest of the design team is kind of, well, mostly I would say pulling, looking at it from like their different perspectives about how it works as far as from their perspectives, and so they might get adjusted in farther, but they won't get adjusted out farther.
Mhm.
We say, for example, the slope what we're looking at right now, if that was, if the commission was wanted it to be 3-to-1 so it could be planted, that would push it farther out.
Yeah.
We're taking the approach that we kind of would rather, and I think it's because, again, it's more illustrative if we turn the trees on this, but we're trying to keep, where we're doing this, it's because we don't want it running out and taking down trees just so we can get a 3-to-1 slope.
Yeah, right. It's almost has to be like field decided.
But we can, well, for the revised plans, we'll include the tree locations, and that will help give some clarity to what we're doing, why we're doing what we're doing.
So in like those areas that are non-jurisdictional wetlands, right? The 100-foot buffer line goes through some of those. What effect does that have? Anything? So is that number 3? Or
This is number 2.
That's
number
2.
Where's number 3?
Number 3 is over here.
3 is jurisdictional.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, but there was on the other, okay, that's not the one I'm thinking of then.
4 is the one that we're impacting there.
This is 4.
Yeah,
And so in 4, where we're impacting it with the roadway, right now we're trying to determine like the limits of providing some replication for that without
yeah,
being destructive.
yeah, because actually, even those are part of it's outside our jurisdiction, the water in that thing would be into our jurisdiction.
But
So it would follow that flow path, right? So you wouldn't want to disrupt that. Some way you'd have to preserve that.
Right, and then we're looking to provide replication for that, for what we're actually disturbing in that particular wetland without chasing our tail and
Right.
cutting down trees to do it, which we feel we can do. It's just quantifying that and laying it out.
I was looking at this plan and where your property line goes along June Circle, that, or
The other end?
where you're gonna do all the blasting.
No, we don't have that.
You don't have that.
Well, we can show
Oh,
it.
right on this corner, your blasting starts in this corner anyways, doesn't it?
I think, hold on, we can pull something up, I'm sure.
I just was gonna ask a question. It's the existing ground or is it individual property owners on the other side or is it the town? I'm not sure.
There's property owners. Can I share mine?
Yeah.
Oh, I always forget to do that. Folks can see that?
Yes.
All right, so this is one. This is June Circle up here. These are individual property owners.
Okay, yeah.
But do you want to go?
Well, I was
So
just
there's no-
wondering the grade. So am I understanding this right? Is the existing ground at your property line, the whole school and stuff is up about 5 feet above that, above like June Circle property?
I think it's more than that.
It's more than that. Okay.
I think we showed it on
Yeah, over in, yeah, you got it all.
163. And this is 127.
123 to 127?
No, the 163 to 120 to 127. And it was a while ago, but on our first meeting, we presented the cross section
Yeah. Oh, you
where we
did?
ran it from the building through basically the section we just looked at through the June Circle.
I
Yeah,
guess I must, you showed that to us?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
It
Jim,
was,
you would ask for that.
Where was I?
You loved it.
Yeah. My point is, I guess what I wanted to understand, which I can see by reading the plans, that the school is up higher than the surrounding properties. Or
Yes,
the
it is.
parking lot at
It's
least.
like 36 feet based on those two elevations.
And I just stopped my share because I don't want to make people dizzy. I don't know where I stuck that because it was from the architect.
That's
all right.
I got it.
Oh, thanks, Paige.
It's showing the section AA here.
Oh, I did see that. I mean, that's kind of deceptive because you never have that many trees out there.
Well, it's going through the town of Wakefield land.
Yeah. that's what
I mean,
you
we
see.
cut, they
That's what
cut
you're
it to
looking
the
at
closest buildings.
Okay. Hmm. Okay.
David, can you just speak, this is Kevin, we're not blasting along the property lines at June Circle. I heard someone say that.
No, I just wanted to see, I just wanted to make sure I was reading it right. I didn't realize it was that high, much different distance. Not that it's even jurisdictional right now. This is just side.
So
information.
it's how's it work? If you're walking along there, wetland one's the first one. Two's on your about the same elevation. It's on your right.
Right, and it starts to go up.
3 is 10 feet higher than 2 and 1, and then 4 is 10 feet higher than 3. So you're and so it's a little sneaky because you're jumping up pretty quick.
Yeah. All right.
So the other pieces for tonight was Rebecca brought up that the outstanding order conditions on the site. We just got from DEP a certificate of compliance. I think we got it today with not a great amount of explanation other than here's a certificate of compliance for the outstanding order. Please file it at the registry, which we'll do as soon as it shows up in the mail. We'll forward along a copy to you, to Rebecca, so you can distribute it. But I don't have any background on like kind of how that all happened. If they just, but that's where we're at with the outstanding order.
Mr. Chairman, this is Kevin. I can confirm that I did get a correspondence from DEP this morning. It needs to be an originally executed copy. So they're putting it in the mail to the district. Once received, we'll execute it in ink, make a PDF for you, and send it along to Rebecca.
Thank you.
And then there was a question about like another site element that someone saw like on an older plan. I don't know, Kevin, if you want to speak to that, or I think it was.
Yeah, that might have been we haven't taken anything down from our website. Everything that's posted stays up there. So my guess is that from the PDP, the preliminary design phase, it's over 2.5 years ago, the first submission to the MSBA, there was some discussion about partnering with the town on a hockey rink. That is not part of our project scope and budget. There is no hockey rink, and there's no land being set aside at this point for one.
Okay.
Oh, and then we have Gilbane Building Company here tonight too. We were going to have them walk through a construction phasing plan.
Yeah. That would be good.
All right, so Paige, you can stop your share. And I don't know, is it Neil? Are you here tonight?
I am here.
All right, so Neil Benner from Gilbane.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Let's see. Can everybody see my screen, or is it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we've put together a sequencing plan of how we're going to attack the site preparation phase for this project, and that's basically what this drawing shows. First of all, I want to say that we do not have a site contractor awarded yet. We do not have a blasting contractor awarded yet. The plans that we are reviewing will be detailed down to an operational level once we have those folks on board. But right now, what we are showing you is a general intent of how we're going to go about doing this. and based on our experience from other projects, and I will get started. So I'll just focus on the sequence of work and then kind of blow up where we're talking about on the drawing. So what we see as the start is first, obviously, meetings. The prerequisite activities would be to meet with the Concom group, all of you on site with the appropriate contractors as well as us, to review the order of conditions, walk the site, talk about your concerns, and and just make sure that we all are on the same page and communicating well. At that point, once we're comfortable with that, we would proceed with installing all the perimeter erosion control measures around the entire site. This red line is denotes that, as well as fencing. We're still looking at final locations, but this is generally where the perimeter erosion controls will be installed, as well as the fencing. Couple of notes where we are, the erosion control will be made of silt, hay socks, where we are near a sensitive area, where we're near wetlands. Of course, we will have 3 sets of socks staked. We'll have wire reinforced silt fence. And then just for visual cues, we will also put in some orange fencing, just so everyone understands that this installation is in a sensitive area and needs to be very carefully watched. The balance of the site where things aren't quite as sensitive but still important, we will be installing 1 set of hay socks, still the reinforced silt fence, and then of course perimeter of the entire site will also be chain link fence to keep the site secure. So after we've installed the perimeter erosion control, we will then walk the site again with Concom, show you what we've done, make sure that everything looks good, and assuming everything is good, then we'll move into construction. So the way we have things sequenced right now is we will begin first the driveway prep from Farm Street into the site. So we want to establish this access point early. We would establish a temporary road. We would put a temporary crossing over where the wetland crossings need to go, with the point being that we're able to get access to the first area of site clearing. Our goal is to get moved in, get this site cleared. Once we have all of our erosion controls set up, and then actually mobilize the blaster. Depending on where the road ends up, we may have to do an initial blasting exercise, obviously right here, to be able to get this road roughed in and in place, so that we can also access this area, so we can get this cleared and get the blaster mobilized and going. So those are our initial activities. The next step would be, once we're cleared and the blasting is underway, we will move into section 2 and begin to clear this area. Concurrent to that, we will continue moving on, and we're going to start clearing what needs to be cleared on the hillside here to enable a start of road construction for this drive that takes us down to Hemlock. So the idea would be that we are going to establish circulation right away from Farm Street down to Hemlock. We then would start the blaster here, blasting this rock, Generally, we would blast in this direction and blast in this direction here. And then as soon as we're able, we would move into area 3 and actually create a second blast face and work it this way because this part of the building's at a lower elevation. So we want to be able to blast through 2 and 3 to the elevation needed for area 2, and then we would blast moving in the opposite direction to get to the basement level, or the lowest elevation level, I should say. While we're working in 3, we do intend to create a settling basin in the baseball field outside the buffer that will hold a lot of the water from the site, really from the majority of the site where my cursor is right now. We're envisioning getting the water into some collection frac tanks. Maybe we would also create a little settlement basin up here, but then connect it with 8-inch line to connect it out and hold the water here. The water that goes, that really generates on this half of the site, we would, as we're blasting in 1, we would blast what's going to be the permanent catch basin here. And we would use that on a temporary basis to hold water, filter it, and then release it in this direction. Similar to the roadway, we will do the same thing as we're moving in, create the area for what's going to be the permanent installation, but use it on a temporary basis so that we have a place to catch the water, filter it, and send it back into the wetlands. So at a very high level, once this road is complete and is actually usable for construction vehicles, we will then jump back and build out this road to its more permanent state, and get that built. And so that's in a nutshell how we're going to attack this this project, and those are the major sequences that we're going to follow.
Neil, when you do your roadway coming in off of Farm Street,
Yes.
are you gonna construct that to the full width right away?
We will rough it out to the full width. Yes.
So is there any way that you could not go that far while you're driving trucks and stuff and just leave it a narrower road?
I'm not sure. We could certainly look at how to build that initial road. We need to be able to build it so that 2 construction vehicles can pass each other. But we may not have to build it to the exact width of for the future width. I'd have to look at that detail a little bit more detailed, but we can certainly look at that together.
So are you are anticipating that you have to blast along that roadway?
So we anticipate that and I know that this is not actually shown where it's going. I believe the road access is actually going to be a little bit closer to the property line. And I do believe that we will have to do some blasting in here to be able to get the drive in, and then we will likely have to blast in order to be able to get this settling basin built in the future installation.
So are you saying that this green area is a settling basin?
That's a
just a
very crudely drawn replication of what is intended to go here. Yes.
That's the permanent detention system,
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a
but that
what?
wouldn't go towards the, until they build the permanent roadway, which would happen after the lower roads in.
We're still covering fine detail sequencing like that, but yes, that we do believe that blasting will have to occur here as well as here.
Yeah, would you have to blast or could you use jackhammer? I mean, are you anticipating a lot of ledge? Because I thought,
I don't know. It's hard to say at this point how much ledge we're going to be running into here. I don't have specific numbers. I do believe that there's a pretty significant outcropping here. I will add that we've spoken quite extensively with one of the blasters with whom we've been working to help help us with planning, and they are not at all concerned about blasting near wetlands. First of all, they know that this rock is quite hard, and so from their standpoint, they can control that really well. They would blast straight down. They would probably grid out their blasting in maybe 4 foot by 4 foot squares, and they would not expect any horizontal fracturing beyond 2 feet outside of that square. Everything would be going straight down. So they do this all the time, and they're very comfortable with it. The things that people might think about with blasting near a wetland would be, will fly rock fall into the wetland, or will the fissures come out and drain the wetland, and they're just not at all concerned about that here.
So will this work interrupt the current flow of water to the resource areas?
No, we will make sure that whatever we build will enable water to flow just as it is now.
Will the rock that is blasted be kept on site? All of it, or what is the plans?
So it is our intent to process almost all the rock. There actually is an overage that we're projecting but we do intend to process the blasted rock for use to build the roads, to accommodate the foundation construction in the main building, and then to be able to be used for the phase 3 work, which is after the new building is open and the existing buildings being torn down, and we're building the fields down in this area.
So will the blasted rock be just staged as is, or crushed in some way and then staged?
So it'll be crushed. We're anticipating a stockpile in this general area. we would build a sound berm here. We would initially set up a crushing operation here. And we also have future plans to truck. We also have plans to truck fractured rock down to this area, also to set up a crushing operation and stockpiling area here, also outside of the buffer zone.
Dave, I have a
Yes.
question for you. When this school is in its finished grading elevation and stuff like that, is there gonna be some overburden to planting too? I mean, how, because you're blasting right down to the rock, even for the parking lots, right? And so how are you
I
gonna
can-
are you
I can
gonna add soil?
I can explain that, Dave, if you want me to.
Oh, please, is that Josh?
No, it's Neil.
Oh, hey, Neil. Go ahead.
I mean, whoever you want to answer is fine. I can explain it if you need me to.
Sure.
So, so the plan is that when we're blasting, you overblast, and you overblast to make sure that the rock is out of the way for foundations, for underground utilities, and that's one of the reasons why you crush, so that you actually backfill and you amend it with. We'll have specific soil types that we'll have to actually mix and make on site. And the idea is that the majority of that is from materials that we pull, that we actually generate on site. So so to answer your question, yes, we will backfill, and that is how, and bring it up to subgrade, and that is how we get our utilities in, our foundations in, and then of course there'll be topsoil on top of that. But
Okay, so for like, are you blasting in specific areas for like where there's a tree, you blast a hole, or do you do the whole area, or?
so what we would do is, for like the building, for instance, we'll blast from really pretty much this area between 2 and 3 over to the parking lot, down to pretty close to 1 elevation. And then that will enable us to build back up to reach the elevation of the parking lot, and it will allow us to build back up to be able to build the footings, because this building is all slab, it's all spread footings. So we will build back up to get to subgrade for that, and then inside the building and then all throughout the site, we will also install our utilities in that backfill. Now, there may be areas where the utilities have to run a little deeper than where we're blasting the entire table to, and in those cases, we'll have to create trenches for the utilities to run inside. So so that's pretty much the plan, and that's why we would be blasting more deeply in areas where we're going to be having permanent catch settlement basins, so we can get the right depths.
Okay.
Obviously, all this is done under the control of a very detailed blasting plan that's submitted to the city by the fire department, overseen by all of us. It's very regulated, and we will not bid this project to anyone who is not fully qualified to perform this work.
Dave, we got the report for the stormwater management. Did you see that?
No,
Because there was a bunch of questions. Does anyone else know what I'm talking about? Because
I know
Rebecca,
it came out this afternoon, but I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone had a chance to look at it yet. It just came out.
okay, because he had a bunch of suggestions. So you probably want
So
to
the-
take a look at it.
that's great. The timing's great because we can review it and incorporate what we can.
Yeah.
So if I could get that, that's awesome.
Okay.
Thanks for.
Time is-
I just sent it to you guys and tomorrow I'll put it up on the website.
Thank you.
Time is it?
10.
10 o'clock?
Yeah.
Time to quit, isn't it? Where's
Can
Bob?
we just, before we quit, can we just go over real quick what we're expecting to receive and review at the next meeting? So there's a number of, I think, things that Dave, we were talking about, for instance, the new alignment and those CAD drawings that you had in that spreadsheet. So all of that stuff that we talked about a little bit earlier, I just want to make sure that everyone's on the same page of what information should be coming and what we anticipate to the best of our ability that we will be discussing at the next meeting.
And I'm sorry, and Rebecca, didn't we ask for a response to Matt's letter? A
Yes,
written response?
that's right.
So the materials we flashed on tonight, we'll format those and get those to you soon this week so that you can put those on the website. The response to Matt's letter and also along with the response to the stormwater, we're using Matt's letter and we'll also use a stormwater review as a guide as we revise these plans and prepare the revised stormwater report. So that the hope is so that as we complete the revisions to the plans, we'll have the response to Matt's letter for like each comment. We can say, here's what we did, and here's what we did to address the comment, and this is where it is on the plan. So I'm not explaining that well because my mind's mush right now, but you get what I'm saying, right? We're using that as a guide to revise the plans, and then the response will be, we'll provide a written response, but it will be in conjunction with the revised plans.
So the idea is one written response at the end of, when everything's all done.
Yeah, so instead of like doing dueling, like, look, we could respond to his suggestions now by saying, we'll incorporate it into the revised plans, but you still don't believe, like, I mean, you got to see the revised plans. And there's even the hope that as we develop the plan, we further develop the plans to respond to Matt's, and I think Dom's the stormwater reviewer issues. We can have a working session with them to say, this is your comment, this is how we respond to it, what do you think? So we'd like to review to not do like the like dueling memos of I don't know if you guys have ever seen like that, but it's basically sometimes by the time you get done, there's 5 responses to a comment. When really what we'd like to do is take their comment, respond to it with the response that they're happy with, and say what that response is and where you can find it on the plans or whatever supplemental materials have been provided, so that
Can I
the,
just ask Matt, does that make sense to you? You're on mute, Matt.
No, he's
Oh.
off.
Just low?
I'm sorry, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it does make sense. I think that, yeah, rather than, as Dave's pointing out, rather than have them write how they're gonna respond or incorporate an adjustment, to just incorporate that and then have that reviewed at the end and say, yep, thumbs up, we think you did it, or, this needs further
No.
work.
Yeah, but I think they should at the end respond in writing so
Yeah,
that
we
we
will.
have that and then have,
sure.
right.
yeah, we will.
That's what David said, yeah.
Yeah.
And what I'd like to do, and to Matt and to defer to them, but is, again, not giving them a final product, but at a point in the near future, kind of work through their comments and tell them how we're going to respond to make sure we're on the right path. So that, again, just trying to cut down on the iterations and the memos upon memos.
And so one point of order for the commission to kind of instruct both myself and Dave going forward is when, what would you like by way of procedure when he wants to work with me or, sort of bounce things around or whatever, you should just think about how you want us to handle that procedurally. So that he and I aren't making decisions without your involvement necessarily. Maybe that's Rebecca sitting in on those sessions, or Jim, or you, however. But think about how you want to do that and instruct us, so that we don't take an approach that that at the end of the day you're not happy with. And that you don't have to answer that now. Just as that sort of progresses, you should let us know how you'd like to proceed.
What do you think makes sense? I'm sorry, what do you think makes sense that Bob, Jim, and my fellow commissioners and Rebecca?
I think it certainly makes sense that Rebecca be as involved as possible in those types of discussions. And maybe shoot us an email just with an overview, what was talked about or decided upon or direction given.
That makes sense to me. If others.
Yeah, I agree.
agree.
I mean, if I'm available, I would like to go.
But I was gonna say, I would think you would want to be involved, Jim.
Yeah.
So perhaps Rebecca can let you know and see if you can.
I'm just there to give her support, that's all.
There you go.
Not that she needs any.
Always.
Okay, well, I guess what I would suggest then is, for Dave going forward, when it comes time that you want to have a conversation or work through a point, use email to loop in Jim and Rebecca, and then we can, if it's an in-person meeting or Zoom or just a back and forth on email, we can just kind of keep everybody in the loop.
Yep, and we'll work to basically focus it down as much as we can, right? So it's like we will just discuss the things that need to be discussed. Some things we're just going to incorporate in, and but we're not taking up too much of anyone's time. And we can clear that with Dom too, but I've done that with Dom as well before.
Okay, and so for the next meeting, I'm sorry, anything else, we're discussing, they're gonna be presenting their stormwater management plan, is that the idea?
Well, it might be a little bit aggressive to think we're gonna be finalize that in 2 weeks, if that was the hope. I think there's some work to be done and schedules to be synced.
Okay.
I didn't, but we could show you the layout, the layout with all the utilities as they've been developed at that point, if you want, or if there's other subjects you guys want us to follow up on.
I think it probably depends on how much more information we collect over the next week or so and what gets finalized or submitted, right?
Yeah.
So if there's still some things that are outstanding, obviously we won't likely have time to discuss them at the next meeting, so I won't put it on the agenda, but I don't know. I'll try to run it by you guys prior to me submitting the agenda.
Okay. We'll have a better feel for it once we get the stormwater, we review the stormwater, and we'd like to keep making progress as best we can, but I also don't want to waste folks' time.
Are there any other major?
Sorry, go ahead, Ken.
Are there any other major topics we just haven't touched upon at all that we will eventually?
Have we talked about lighting at all? Or is that to come?
No, we haven't yet.
I can put that on the next agenda as a definite topic if you'd like.
There's a bunch of those things, wasn't it? Do we want to say anything about snow removal and stuff?
Yeah, O&M plan, snow removal, lighting, those are all kind of further down the road type of topics. Were there other questions, Rebecca, you had asked for tonight?
I think they touched on them. There was that conversation about the hockey rink, and I think Kevin explained that was an old plan. There was that construction sequencing, which we just got a new and updated version. I'm trying to think of what else there was.
Certificate of compliance.
Yep.
Outstanding order.
Yep,
Right.
and it sounds like we're gonna get that closed up, so check that off the list. We have that new spreadsheet that talks about the impact areas. I'm really interested in that, and I look forward to kind of reviewing that part. Can't think of anything off the top of my head. I can look back at notes and whatnot, but if anyone else is still expecting something to be submitted, please send me an email so I can forward it along to them, so we can have this list so that we can ensure that we get everything collected.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, this is Kevin. Can I ask a question?
Sure, please.
So some of the stuff you just mentioned, I believe that is things that are typically in your order of conditions. Do you have the boilerplate information that is included in order of conditions that you could share with us now? So we could start putting that together as well as any particulars that come out of these meetings in the final document? Because I think that sounds pretty common, that we do a snowplow plan and, how do we address salting and sanding, things like that. And I'm guessing that might be in your typical order. So if there's something you can share with us, we can start doing a little checklist to make sure we get that stuff in more timely for you. And now that we have the wetlands review, we have our storm review. Rebecca, thank you. I just got dinged in my inbox. Awesome. So we'll get together with David tomorrow or the next day, and we're going to work on updating our schedule so that we can get back to you with more definitive details on when we're going to have these meetings with the BSC group. We can put that into our schedule, but we'd really like to get working on some of the boilerplate stuff if you have it.
Yeah.
Dave, you mentioned that, and I'm sorry I haven't gotten it to you. I'm trying to decide which one I would send you guys to take a look at, because a lot of our standard orders will likely be revised in this situation.
Sure.
Just because
Yeah,
typically
You know
for
what? If you
homes
could send us whatever you have. It just
Okay.
it gives
Yeah.
us a flavor
Okay.
for what's coming, you know,
Yep.
what you expect, and is yeah. we
Yeah,
like to start
send us a
working on it.
couple, because we're just kind of
That's what I
want to
was
know,
thinking. I'll send a
you know,
couple.
what you're,
I know what I'll
what-
send.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And we can filter through it, and then
Yeah.
we can follow up with, again, you guys are all going to make we all have to make the decision, but it just gives us an idea of what we need to
Yeah.
incorporate.
Okay, I have a few ideas. I'll do that
great.
probably Thursday if that's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
We create matrices and milestone schedules, Rebecca. So we'll do a big brain dump into a nice spreadsheet, and then as they come off or on, we can just manage that. It works out great.
Okay.
All right, anything else from the commission for tonight? I know it's getting late.
It is late.
Yes. All right, we do have other business that we do need to jump on. Rebecca, anything else?
I don't have any comments or questions. I don't know if anyone in the audience does, but I do not.
Yeah, I don't see any hands raised right now. So I would like to move on to our other business and get that taken care of.
Well, thank you for your time.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Is your next meeting on the 20th?
Yes.
Yes,
Thanks.
thank you, Matt.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, Matt. Rebecca, you know, that hockey rink, so back in the 70s, there was talk about the town building a hockey rink between Landrigan Field and the Voke Gatehouse. And I'm wondering if that was in that same exact area or not. But yeah, there was strong talk about the town building a town rink.
Yeah, yep. It may very well have been considered at one point and eventually removed from.
Yeah, rinks were popping up everywhere. We ended up with the MDC one in Saugus at Breakart.
Oh,
And then, of course, Reading built a rink, and we had the Stoner Marina too. But yeah, there was talk right there. So the Voke and the high school would be able to have their own rink.
yeah, that makes sense. Is there not a rink in Wakefield? What's the closest one?
Well, the Saugus MDC,
August.
you know, is the
Okay.
closest rink, but Wakefield uses Stoneham or Reading.
Okay.
That's a Beaky, or I forget the name of it, but
Burbank.
Burbank, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Burbank.
All right, so other business.
Did you
Couple of
guys
items.
look at the budget?
No, haven't seen it.
Didn't I send it last time?
Yes,
Yeah.
or two
Right.
times ago.
Let me tell you, you still have time. You can vote on it on the next meeting if you wish. I made a couple of adjustments.
Oh,
So,
can you pull it up? Can we just look at it now?
sure.
Because then we just won't look at it before the next meeting.
Mhm.
But,
Oh, well,
Bob, do
remember
you
looking
have
at it.
It's funny how that works.
wait, Bob, do you have it that you can share the screen?
You said you said you had some revisions, Rebecca, no?
Well, they're just, I just crossed it off on paper.
Oh, okay, you could tell us.
It's not
Okay.
particular. I mean, for the most part, the budget has been the exact same thing for like 15 years.
Okay. And we talked about giving Judy an increase.
And that's part of the changes. I
Okay,
have.
good.
What
What is Judy's hourly rate?
So it doesn't go by that. It goes by meetings. So she gets
Goes
a,
by meetings regardless of how long the meetings are?
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
against the wall?
It takes me to type up the minutes.
so I had a
Not
conversation.
billable hours. Not what you guys are used to.
Yeah, so I have a new proposal for Judy.
So
I'm
Bob,
looking
you're
for,
trying to find, you're trying to pull it up?
I'm looking through my folder.
I'm sorry,
right
Bob,
now.
take your time.
Well, any idea what the date of that was? Mullen will vote 10, 20, and 18 minutes.
Probably pull up another one. Hold on.
EOE, AC policy,
Sometimes you're faster than I am.
original vote.
It came from you, Rebecca, right? Yeah.
I'm back in September and not seeing it yet.
No, that's too long. I don't know what I did.
You probably didn't send it.
Oh, stop it. I send you guys so much stuff that I have to.
Yeah.
I mean,
I sent it.
oh, I sent it on, take that, November 15th at 1:50. It's the agenda, an updated agenda, and it also is the spreadsheet with a budget on it.
November 15th?
I sent it to y'all.
On November
1:50.
15th?
Y'all.
November 15th.
And she's like, a biodiversity guidelines for municipalities on the 15th from Judy.
Did you know there's a new department, the outdoor recreation department?
Outdoor.
Just got the update for that.
That's cool.
Bob, I have it if you want me to share.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute, here it is. It's an Excel spreadsheet, right?
Yeah.
I got it.
Okay.
All right, let me share it.
Okay, so that's the first page. So I'm not allowed to touch certain aspects of that. Go to the second page, please. Okay. So this is our typical budget that is looked the same for a zillion years. One thing I did do though is I was going to request for advertising. I was, instead of 150, I was going to ask for 250. That would cover 2 legal notices. And if you see, our actual expenditure is closer to that because I made a mistake on one. And so we had to pay for the reposting of it. And then, so that was one. And then the second one is we advertised something. I can't remember what it was. Maybe Judy remembers, but if we wanted to put in a public meeting for our own purposes that didn't have an applicant, but something else. So I just bumped it up $100 because assuming that the legal notices are about 112, that covers like 2. So I've asked for that change if you guys are okay with that.
So the advertising will be 250 instead of 150?
Correct.
Okay.
And then the other change, the other change I was going to make was under dues and memberships. So the 725 covers the new MACC membership cost. I was going to ask for an additional $65 so that I could be the Massachusetts Society of Wetland Scientists member so that I can kind of keep up to date with some of that information.
I like that. Good idea.
So that's a plus $65 to that one.
$790.
And this covers all our memberships?
Yes, that covers all of your memberships.
For a full commission?
For a full commission.
Okay.
Yep, that they give me an estimate. I don't remember if I brought it. It doesn't include. Do you guys have handbook access?
We have, some of us actually have handbooks that are.
Yeah,
probably
no,
out
the
of date.
electronic handbook access.
Yeah,
They
you
all
get
have
it.
handbook access.
Say
Yeah, you
again?
get-
They all have access.
Okay, never mind them. And then the only other change I made was to Judy. I spoke with the HR person and discovered that Judy was the lowest paid clerk. So I asked for her to be at least on par with everybody else.
You
And
scroll
so
up. You don't have it in the kick spot, Bob.
go to.
There you go.
There you go. Yep. So instead of the 4,200, it's going to be 5,200. And that is bringing her up to the same rate that everybody else is with a guaranteed pay period for 26 periods of the year. So that's what that would be. That was
So-
suggested by
Amy.
Amy. That's right. And
Wait.
so that's what we're proposing.
And the split between you and Elaine, that's not right.
No, it's not, but that's all right.
So you're gonna leave it the way it is?
Yep, probably.
But
I'll
why?
ask Kevin. I'll ask Kevin how he wants me to do that. So I don't touch, so when they give me the budget and ask to make things, I'm not allowed to touch myself. So I can't adjust anything of myself, understandably so. So I will mention to Kevin and ask him how he wants to. He may not change it. This is just like a worksheet, but to give him a total of what we're going to ask for. So, but I can ask him if he wants to just separate it out differently.
For what it's worth, I authorize your raise, Rebecca.
I think I get what is it, Judy? 1% a year?
It's 1 or 2, yeah.
Yeah. I guess I only got 1.
I'll give you a whole 3.
Woohoo!
In fact, I authorize raises all around.
Yeah.
Well,
For us too.
yes. I'll pay you double what you're getting now,
20%
Teresa.
one if it's times 0.
Yeah, 20% at 0, yes. What goes into printing and binding?
Like if we were to order some pamphlets or maybe even, I know it's kind of funny, like if we wanted to order some type of those signs, like if you wanted to have conservation signs.
Oh, right, yeah, that's a good one. Okay.
Again, I think so. I'm trying to think. I don't even remember what I spent that $100 on this year. It might have been. So I got a new laptop this year too. That didn't come out of our budget. And then I'm trying to think a couple other little things. Sometimes they shuffle it a little bit. Like that travel inside the Commonwealth one is a standard one that I think everybody gets. That's not specific to us.
So can I move to vote this with your revisions?
Sure.
I'll second.
Is there a second? Is it a
I'll
second?
second.
Ken? All in favor? Any discussion, I guess? If not, all in favor? Jimmy,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
and I also vote yes.
Thank you for looking at this.
You.
Yes.
All right.
All right. The only other item I see is land stewardship handbook review draft.
So I took a look at this. I thought this was incredibly well done. Nicely laid out, well written. I laughed, I cried.
That's why we need to pay Judy the big bucks.
I knew it would be a tearjerker.
The surprise ending was really good too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're on the edge of your seat throughout. So my only comment was, in trail maintenance, because I was concerned about like cutting vegetation, but then I saw in that section, Judy, it said, but you can't do it until you talk to us first, right?
Right. Yeah, that will be discouraged for the most part. Because otherwise it just turns into, a little snip here, bigger snip there, something
Yeah, no.
trail. Yeah.
My only comment that maybe you want to emphasize that in the opening paragraph even. I don't
Okay.
know. That's all.
Okay.
Oh,
And I
and
did
I had one other comment too, on the, I don't know if you have it, the monitoring and reporting. It says, please document your findings on the conservation stewards monitoring form. And I guess my question is, and What, you didn't say and submit them to, or, you know, or upload them to, you just didn't fit, I think that part just needs to be finished and submit them to the conservation department. I mean,
Okay,
maybe
Yep.
that's self-explanatory, Judy.
no, that's good, yep. I did reach out to Tom Mullen. Other towns have the trail stewards sign waivers. So I don't know if that's something, but I haven't heard back from,
For a liability, from liability?
Yeah.
yes, yes.
A good idea.
So would you put that, would you build that into this then, Judy, saying, in order to do this, you must sign this?
I would think so, if that's what, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody's in there even, whatever, cleaning something up and something falls.
Right.
I had a neighbor in New Hampshire, a large branch came off a tree and hit him off the head as he was walking through his own property and knocked him out. Yeah, call it a widowmaker, I guess.
Widowmaker.
Yeah.
That's what they call
I
them.
found him hours later. And yeah, he had significant damage to his skull.
That's crazy.
Yep. So much for a quiet walk in the woods.
It'll keep you out of the jungle.
Yeah, yeah, keep your eyes up and heads up.
So Judy, the idea is once we get this in final form and we get the waiver, then you would post it on a website? Is that the idea?
Yeah, then we could post for actual people to come forward to see if they want to volunteer. And there are apparently some people who are interested in it.
And would we publicize that in the item?
It would be, yeah, in the item and on the website.
Oh, wait, now I need more money in my budget.
Right.
Advertising.
Your advertisement may not.
All right, we won't put it in the item. And then they'd be designated a trail and then they go on their way.
Yeah, I mean, we should also let the scouts know.
Yeah,
And then you have a list of the open space or to, of the, how many maintained trails we have, Judy?
we do. I was just, now that the money has been approved for the title searches, I'm hoping some of them that are in tax title areas will be freed up for the conservation. You know, I was kind of holding off on actually instituting this until we have a clearer idea of who's going to get, you know, what areas the commission is going to get management of.
Which reminds me, if
Maybe-
anyone knows anyone who does that work, I sent out a bunch of inquiries and like 1 out of 4, only one person got back to me out of the 4 I sent. So,
Inquiries for,
a title examiner.
oh,
I just Googled them and then sent them requests for information and no one got back to me except for one person, but I need 3.
And is there an amount per, how are they supposed to be billed or paid?
I'm sorry, can you ask the question again?
How are they supposed to be paid?
You mean like, I mean, you mean by whom or like, do they do one bulk thing?
Yeah,
or-
that's my, I mean, the thing is.
I don't know.
It's tough
We
to
have-
respond if you don't know how much you're gonna get paid.
Well, I gave him the list of all the properties that we were interested. I think there were 85. And then on that list, I had a ton of like book and page numbers. So I sent him my spreadsheet, the one person who responded to me, and he's supposed to come back with an estimate of what it would cost. And
I see, so you gave them the list and then they come back with an estimate.
Yep, exactly. Well, originally my first inquiries were, we're looking to have this work done. Is this some type of work that you do? And are you interested? That kind of generic. And then like I said, only one person, but I need 3 bids. So if anyone
need
knows
3?
anyone,
3 in order to respond. In order to,
Yeah.
I mean, for us to pick one, is that the idea?
yeah, I think we have to go with the lowest.
You don't really have to go with the lowest.
You don't have to go with the lowest.
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay. Regardless, I think I need the 3 and I don't have even 3 people responding to me. So if anyone knows of anyone, let me know. You can send me an email.
Anything else on the agenda for tonight?
Nothing on the agenda. Nothing else.
Motion to adjourn?
Hang on. Judy, you have anything for us?
Oh, I'm so sorry, Judy.
No, I'm all set.
Christmas party? Elaine asked me about that today. I vote January party. Christmas is, it's. right around the
Yeah, we
corner.
haven't had one since a long time ago, Lord.
And our next meeting is on the 20th.
I think January is a good idea, Rebecca.
I like it
After
too.
all the holidays.
Yeah, me too, yeah. It's January. Our firm is having our holiday party in January. So go
Oh,
figure.
That's
No.
smart. I like that.
We are too. We're having one on the 21st of January.
Is that right, Bob?
January's booked.
Right, it's going to be a very busy month in January. But no, I think we should think about a date in January to do that.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
What do you guys think? You like artichokes? I like that.
No,
No,
Who said
Who
no?
said
That was a
no?
quick note.
oh my
Judy said no.
God.
Judy, what would you suggest?
Who
Judy?
said no?
Anywhere
Judy.
but artichokes.
Anywhere but artichokes. Some
The food is
Judy,
so
you're
boring. It's like going to the Continental. That's what I liken it to.
The what?
so
The Continental.
The Continental.
That's what it reminds
You
me
want to go
of.
to the Continental?
No.
No, I don't.
No.
What is the
That's us.
Continental?
Place on Route
Oh,
1.
it's
Been
on
there
Route
for
1.
100 years.
70.
Wow.
It's frightening, is what it is.
Hey, wherever we do go, we should invite Frank.
Yes.
Yes. I see
Yes.
Frank on the train. I tell him all that he's missing.
Mm.
And he laughs.
I did ask him whether he would ever, whether he's ready to come back at some point. He didn't shut the door on it.
He slammed it,
No,
Exactly.
no.
deadbolted it.
No, he didn't say anything of the sort. So
Well, I think
maybe
Judy
some-
comes to come up with another solution. I'd like artichokes because it's real old-fashioned Italian food.
Okay, fine.
Oh, and they have nice wine, good
boy.
drinks.
Good martinis.
I like it. They could make a good martini. So, and I
There we
agree with you.
go.
I think they do a nice job, and it's right in Wakefield. We all know where it is. So
Conveniently located.
Okay. I'll eat before I go.
No, no, Judy.
Lots of Italian restaurants in Wakefield.
wow, tough customer. You are tough. Good thing you're not a food critic for.
Well, one good thing about it is you kind of can be by yourselves a bit. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, that space they put us in,
a
that
little
was great.
alcove.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whereas if you're at Sabatino's or something like that, there's really kind of no
Yeah.
quiet place.
And it's a little quieter. I think Sabatino's is a little
very
noisy and
loud.
it's hard. You just can't hear. I like to be able to hear my colleagues. So
and maybe we could do it on a Tuesday where we don't have a meeting, like,
Yeah.
So no one can complain that they're not free on a Tuesday. I like it. I think it's a great idea. Tuesday with no meetings. So that gives us that brings it down to 2 dates.
right in
all good.
January, right?
Let me just see. So
Yeah.
we're looking at
The 10th,
So,
the 24th.
Tuesday, the 3rd is a meeting. Yeah, the 10th to the 24th, right?
The 10th is my 42nd wedding anniversary, so not the 10th. Right.
Wow.
24th or 31st.
Okay,
I
You
think
guys
the
all do
24th.
the 24th. What's the date?
Yeah, we don't want to do it on Teresa's anniversary.
No, no,
'Cause then
definitely not.
then we'd have to invite her husband and
Exactly,
that
that
whole.
We don't want that.
So Tuesday, the 24th.
Why don't we plan on that? Tuesday the 24th.
Sounds
That's
good.
fine. It's fine.
I'll make a
8
reservation.
o'clock AM.
No, not it. No, no.
You want to do it? Can we
Wait,
do
how
it like?
6 o'clock?
Not too late. I mean, I mean, 6 o'clock is
think-
fine. I'll make sure.
I was
I
gonna
get
say
there.
6:30. We
great.
can take that. Teresa, we can take the 5:55 train,
Right,
and
but-
then we can get right off the train and walk to go to the
You mean 6:30?
6:30, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you get the 5:55 train.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll make it for 6 o'clock and then we wander in when you come in.
Okay,
How about that?
I like it. Do I
Okay.
need to send an invite out or do you?
Yes. Can you
Yeah.
send an invite out, Rebecca? That'd be great.
Sure.
And then Rebecca, will you you'll include Elaine on it?
I
right?
will, yeah.
And then do you still have, you have Frank's email, right? Still?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll
Um,
mention to him next time I see him.
Yeah.
I also saw him in Market Basket on Saturdays.
Who did you see?
I saw Frank in Market Basket.
Wow. Guys
Talking.
are-
Um,
So Teresa, you got married in the middle of
Savannah,
January.
too.
In January.
I did.
Wow.
It was,
That's
it was
like
10 degrees outside. It was freezing.
I was gonna say you're sort of you're bucking tradition there, huh?
Is that a surprise, really? Alrighty, well, that's great. Thank you for bringing that up, Rebecca.
Yeah, we should invite Savannah also.
Oh, yeah.
And of course.
I haven't heard from her lately.
Yeah.
I actually sent her another text today. She didn't respond.
And Dave Sullivan's off in, where is he, Maine or something? I think, no, he bought a condo around here, didn't he? I forget.
Dave Peterson?
Dave Peterson, yeah.
David, yeah,
Sold
yeah, say
his house.
Sullivan? Oh, I was wondering what you're talking about.
Oh, Dave
Yeah.
Sullivan's been gone for a long time.
No, Dave Peterson, he bought a condo, I think, on Cedar Street. In fact, on Cedar Street.
Oh, okay.
That was Mickey. That was
Oh, Mickey, of course.
Oh, so we're gonna have like a little alumni time here.
Exactly, that's right.
Do you want me to, I'm sorry. So I have Elaine and Frank and Sylvania and who else?
Come on.
Mickey? Is Mickey
Mickey.
around?
Yeah,
I
Mickey's
think it's a
not,
random invite on this.
I think Mickey's in New Hampshire now. You can
No,
call him.
Mickey has a condo on Cedar Street.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
is
they
that
live.
what it
I
is?
think they live in Wakefield.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right too. Yeah, right.
Teresa sees him at Market Basket.
I saw him walk, I saw him. No, I see him walking with his wife.
Hello.
Okay. Well, he likes doing that. I can't think of anyone else. Find some more strangers. We need more people.
No.
Jimmy, you don't want to invite Christina?
What?
Oh,
You don't
God.
want to invite Christina?
Odiaga? Absolutely. Give her a
guys.
call. No, I don't need to go through that. She
All right,
probably-
anything else from anybody?
What?
Anything else?
Yeah, wait a minute. I do have something. I have a letter that, hopefully Judy has a copy of it, that I want to give to the Board of Appeals. And it's concerning this, the bylaw that, for stream setback. So I am in support of getting rid of that thing because I want to replace it with something more productive than what that thing does.
Doesn't that have to go to a town meeting vote?
It did go to town meeting vote. It was, and it didn't pass.
Oh, that's right. It didn't pass. That's right.
But I'm gonna try it again. So, but I want to get rid of this one, and I want to try to get this, I want to see if I can get you guys to agree to it. And, I'll get you a copy of it. I don't have a copy of it right handy. But, just look at it and see if you can support me on it.
I'm sure I can support you on it.
Oh, aren't you nice? All right, so I'll get that, I'll get that out to everyone and then we can talk about it at the next meeting.
Sounds
All right.
good.
Thank you.
All right, somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
I think
Motion.
I did already.
Second? Second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
I did want to first it, but someone took it.
Teresa,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Jimmy.
How come I'm last?
I'm going to reverse alphabetical order this time.
Oh, yes, okay.
And I also vote yes.
All right.
All right, good night, everybody.
Night
Good
all.
night.
Bye-bye.
Guys, take care. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Right.